Yeah, the Lux is an interesting one. It might potentially could be a Lux bot lane, could potentially be a Lux mid lane as well. I would expect this Lux to go into the bot lane with Jash, because Jash likes to play these sort of long-range champions. You know, he's played the Varus, he's played the Ziggs, and now he's going to be playing the Lux.
And it allows you to get out of lane, because Lux, I mean, you can just keep throwing out your abilities with the wave, farm from a safe distance. You're against the Gragas Senna that aren't going to have a lot of kill pressure on you, except for maybe level 5 with the explosive casks. So this allows you to get Heste around the map and impact elsewhere, which, again, is how Game Lords likes to play.
And the lockdown as well in that duo lane, like you said, you know, Senna and Gragas is potentially not going to do too much, but if you can get a lockdown, if Heste can play aggressive, which we know he likes to play super aggressive as well. If you can combo that, you know, the Thresh Hook into the light binding as well, that's definitely a combo that they can look to try and get early kills in the lane.
A lot of pick potential from this team. Game Lord going back to a style that kind of we're expecting from them in a way, based on how the first series had gone, but also I think that they're making adaptations from this team.
And they get the
Game
first
Lord
tower of the
going
game,
back
trying to
to
get
a
a lot
style
of
that
for the team. The Dragons are more to do with scaling, because the longer the game goes, you know, the stronger the Dragons will get as well. They still do trade the towers though, so the gold is pretty much dead even at the moment, even as you mentioned, you know, Game Lord has more kills, more the Dragon as well, but in terms of the game state, it's pretty much dead even at the moment. It's a lot slower paced game. I feel like the pressure of these players are definitely on their shoulders.
But when you look at a slow-paced game, that's where Flash Wolves are at their comfort. There's going to be some damage on Tobiah, but not even close to killing. And with this composition, I don't think Game Lords should give them too much, leeway to scale. You want to find ways to accelerate this game and actually force plays, because this Senna will keep stacking. The Jax and the Camille, once they hit 2-3 items, are going to feel really good.
I feel like the later this game goes, the more the Game Lord are going to struggle, especially
Ну, привет всем, кто там подключился.
As Flash Wolves, and you know, in terms of objectives, team fights as well, and also Flash Wolves have a better scaling comp. You know, the Jax will be able to get a few items, pretty much just jump in, won't be able to do too much. The same with Bruce as well, as you mentioned on that Senna. Not the hyper carry that we've known for him to play, but Senna is...
Паня, здравствуй, Ася, здравствуй.
You can still do a lot of damage at the same time, and then also Camille on the top side, also scaling.
Играют европейцы против тайваньских китайцев. Хорош, хорош. Я вечерами играю, Ась. Сейчас пока днем смотрю на дневных трансляциях, смотрю чемпионат. А играем вечером. Там сегодня сейчас выйдет видео через 20 минут новое. Так что смотрите. Обязательно лайк поставьте, комментарии оставьте. Ну там оно такое, не маленькое. Я думаю, вечером... Не знаю, надо как-то сейчас написать будет, сейчас видео выйдет. Я думаю, вечером сделать розыгрыш по этому видосу. Типа экзамена. Разыграть скин. Ну, продолжение по лору игры. Второй ролик про Таргон. Да, я что-то не продумал пиар-компанию видоса, так сказать. Сейчас игра закончится. Я думал сделать, чтобы все успели, он просто идет там немало, он идет 27 минут, ролик. Вот, я думаю, просто как донести до всех, что вечером будет розыгрыш по нему. Думаю, скин может 2 даже разыграть. В плане того, кто быстрее правильно ответит на вопросы по видосу, по истории, тот и выигрывает розыгрыш. Ракушка, здравствуй. Посмотри тоже видос. Блин, мне теперь каждому надо как-то информацию закрепить где-то. Что видос вышел новый, что его надо посмотреть, поставить лайк. Посмотреть обязательно полностью, поставить лайк. И написать комментарий. Потому что предыдущий ролик, средняя продолжительность просмотра была что-то там 27%, по-моему. Совсем не прикольно. Артур, здравствуй. Where you make the TF invisible, and then he runs in with the gold card and gets a pick on somebody. We're kind of approaching that territory, so I'm going to keep my eyes on Baya and Bruce. Do they pull off the coveted invisible gold card that is infamous in this region? Геймлорды у китайцев выигрывают, понимаете? You know, he has a Lich Bane now, he's probably going to go for the rapid fire cannon, so he gets the extended range on the gold card. Like you said, with the center invisibility at the same time, it's really hard for Game Lord to deal with that as well, because sometimes when you're walking up, you don't realize who's actually in that mist with center. Exactly. So trying to be, and this, there you go, this is one of the situations at the moment, and there's the gold card. There we go, all right, immediately we see one, the explosive gas, I believe that is the clone, yep, okay, Redemption gets out, he's fine. So that is an ultimate expended by Flash Wolves. They don't get the pick they're looking for. They wanted to grab somebody before this dragon. Yeah, so no ultimate for Eason at the moment in terms of other ultimates. Everyone else has their ultimate in the game, so it's only one ultimate down at the moment. Again, it's all about that mid lane priority. Game Lord don't really have a lot of vision in the bot side of the map. С телефона неудобно, конечно, смотреть чат. They will know if Flash Wolves starts up this dragon. I think all eyes have to be, you know, on Jack. Интересно, что ТФ с убийцей Кракенов. Заметили? Он в АД идет или что? Да, блядь. But you could tell Game Lord were looking for something. They don't get the whole turret. They just take down 2 plates. I mean, they look cool, but they're not accomplishing too much. Nothing's really happening with these hooks, but I would really like Game Lord. I think when you don't have a menu. Покажите сборочку нам. Интересно даже посмотреть на ТФ. They are going to start up this dragon now. I would have liked them to start up this dragon earlier when they use the Rift Herald mid so they can kind of pull Flash Wolves away, but Flash Wolves are split right now. Yseryl's all the way on the bot side and the rest of the team is on the top side. Yeah, let's watch this Camille flank. How do Flash Wolves want to play this one out? Game Lord, they don't actually commit to the dragon. They're not feeling confident enough, and this is what Flash Wolves are known for. They have a reputation for being an air quotes slow team. That doesn't mean that they won't make early plays. We've seen them go for trades, we've seen them go for dives, but it means that they will, rather than forcing an objective and forcing the fight, they'll just be jerks. Нет, ТФ в АП идет. Надо попробовать, кстати, интересно, с руной на убийцу Кракена. Люкса хорошо ультанула по двоим прям. And we talked about the vision control. What happened in the last time these two played is actually Game Lord the one that had the vision control in the river right now. Heste with the hook again. Ruiz with the package on top of that as well. Catching up
Со смертельным темпом. Я не пробовал, но по идее прикольно, да. Я вот теперь хочу попробовать собрать ТФ вот так с руной Кракена в АП. Мне кажется, тоже прикольно.
It took a bit of time. I felt like we were at a little bit of a stalemate for a second there, where nothing really wasn't happening. But Heste's hook percentage this game must be up at like the 80%.
У тебя как ранг повышается?
It's like when you're playing a game, you want your action per minute's high, so you're just spamming everything. It's like I'm not doing anything, but it looks, you know, the number go up as Ruiz with that old breaker should be just fine.
Прикол в том, что 5-1 счет, а преимущество-то в 2000 почти у китайцев. Два дракона, 5-1 счет, по вышкам равное количество, а преимущество у китайцев 2000. Начинаешь выигрывать? Не выиграют. Вряд ли. Есть китайские команды посильнее намного. Это еще только плей-ин. То есть, чтобы ты понимала, это играют команды. Сегодня 5-й день последний. Это играют команды, которые вышли со своих регионов не с первого места. То есть со второго и с третьего. А те, которые команды вышли с первого места, они в этой стадии даже не играют. Они будут играть уже с групповой стадии. То есть через 3 дня. Они пропускают просто эту стадию. То есть самые сильные команды, они еще даже не играли. Арабы в пагб? Я даже не знал, что арабы в пагб какие-то беркотлеты. Для меня. Сделал открытие. Ну так эта история есть. В смысле, когда ты его смотрел, он еще не вышел. Понятно.
Yeah, I will take that mid lane tower. Actually, pretty good package. I was thinking at first, I was like, Ruiz, do you really want to do that? It's something that was a little bit risky, but I think they just wanted to try and get that mid lane tower. And that's a big tower for them as well. It allows Josh to push in that mid lane. It means that Bruce and Eason maybe can't push up as much as what they want to. They have to be careful of the flanks as well, especially champions like Wukong and Renekton are really, really good at flanking.
Не, ну это по факту и есть ролик по истории, но он так и называется. Сложно сделать из него какой-то блокбастер. Ну типа можно, но если рассказывать только отдельные истории какие-то. Когда пытаешься описать как бы полностью регион, например, то сложно. Привет, здоров. Просто кому это интересно, он как бы так посмотрит. Просто некоторым это не интересно. Блять, и рассыпались, да? О, хорош. Бля, корки, конечно, урона вносит пиздец просто.
It was originally Ruiz that got caught out in the river all by himself, and all the flash wolves just dove on top of him. Then Redemption tried to save him.
Ася, в этом видосе узнаешь. В этом видосе про нее как раз она с Таргона.
It's actually hilarious. Just his only plan. I am going to throw hook after hook until they are exhausted.
Ну, в общем, главное, чтобы комментарии и лайки ставили и досматривали. Комментарии с конструктивной критикой очень даже принимаются. Потому что я много еще сам пытаюсь найти какую-то точку отсчета, балансирую на ней. Там фоновая музыка, сейчас мне кажется, слишком громковато я сделал. Потому что монтировал, прослушивал на мониторе и на телевизоре, а на телефоне, когда я уже загрузил видос на YouTube, на телефоне включил, блять, кажется, громкость слишком. А может и нет, хуй его знает. Короче, пишите в комментариях, как вам. Тут был какой-то отклик, чтобы я понимал.
Going for it. Game Lord with the quirky package feel, hey, we're on vision. If we force Flash Wolves in,
Josh is split.
We can try and take the fight. Jash on the side needs to be careful. Camille going for the engage. Sarah onto Heste. All alone right now, but the rest of Game Lords out backing up their support. Everyone from Flash.
Бля, ну посыпались, да. Геймлорды.
Flash Wolves going forward on the Game Lord side of the rift. Chasing them down to make it 4 kills for 0.
And it was all about, I called it, you know, Josh is on the side, on the mid lane, and as soon as
Мысленно за ФВ.
mid lane, Flash Wolves know this is our time to go in. Yasera goes in, Cookie goes in, and it honestly could be the game.
They have a wave. They have cannon minions right now.
Ну то, что выигрывают китайцы, только доказывает то, что мы еще больше рачки все. Поэтому болеть надо за наш сервер. Ну прикольно же, когда выиграет команда с твоего сервера и понимать, что ты играешь, в принципе, на сильном сервере, а не на слабом. Прервался, а кто мы? Кто мы, если не Европа?
They group up, they stay together, they find members of Game Lords that are isolated and say, all right, all
А СНГ это не Европа, по-моему.
Are just gonna dive that one person, and then Game Lords who are completely split, they can't recover.
They have so much dive as well. They have the Camille, they have the Jax, they have the
сервер один и тот же.
And that's all it takes, you know, for Game Lord. I think Game Lord, like you said, it's a bit of deja vu, really, from the last time these two teams.
Ну, у тебя какая-то параллельная реальность или что?
It wasn't too bad for them, but you know, with Flash Wolves, the late game is where they shine. They have the late game comp as well. Game Lord didn't get the advantages that they needed. You know,
Ты славянин, европеец.
They did get some early game kills, some early game towers, but they didn't get enough gold to be able to extend that lead.
They had the early game comp, but they got the first blood. Let's send it back over to Mika and everybody else on the analyst desk to hear
Ты путаешь понятия.
Game number 1, because their predictions so far looking pretty good.
Okay, these two are clearly busy. I think Rafa was in the middle of something.
Game's over?
They're not done. They're not
Ну хорошо,
done.
хорошо, ты не европеец.
Game's over.
Yeah, so Game Lord won, right?
I'm you sweet summer child.
У нас культура пропитана полностью Европой.
You blinked. Yeah, you were too busy.
What happened?
Yeah,
well, wait. I think I figured it out. I was watching the drawing, but I think I figured it out. Was Cookie just quietly scaling the entire game on Jax, a character that's really good in the late game, and Game Lord never really invaded the jungle or took anything away from him, and just eventually he came online and won?
Oh,
Well,
this drawing is all for naught.
that's pretty much what happened. Yes,
Okay.
pretty much.
Then I think I can do this desk. Then I think we're good.
Okay, well,
Не, ну сейчас с небольшими отличиями. Но ты посмотри на людей, которые живут, блин, во Владивостоке, и посмотри на людей, которые живут в Лиссабоне. Посмотри на здания, на их. Они будут иметь небольшие отличия. В отличие от того, если ты возьмешь Россию и будешь сравнивать ее с каким-нибудь Китаем. Ну, даже не Китаем, например, а Востоком.
At 1,000 and then 2,000 and keeping growing throughout the entire game. Even as those fights in the mid game break to Game Lord, you can see that Flash Wolves and specifically Cookie and Yasera, the two hardest scaling members of the team, are building their gold lead, and Game Lord didn't know how to stop it. Flashwolves arrived at their scheduled team fight win.
Ракушка, нету такого понятия, как менталитет. Я могу сразу сказать. Да не хочу спорить даже на эту тему. Зачем поднимать тут такие вопросы?
Pretty much, but yes, you brought that up, TJ, about how that this is pretty much Rafa right now. Yes, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Listen, I know I predicted Flash Wolves, but the way.
Паня, я же в начале ролика там говорил, что скажу, что будет, расскажу о некоторых персонажах. Я же не буду там перечислять все 180 персонажей в этом ролике.
Lux is normally this kind of kill lane. Whenever you draft a Lux is an indication that you want to start the early game by throwing out those live bindings, landing a hook behind it, or vice versa, landing a hook and hitting it with live.
Ну это то, что ты видишь по телевизору, Ракушка. Понимаешь? На переднем плане. А ты поедь в какое-нибудь небольшое поселение, не знаю, в Германии или даже в Америке в той же, ты поедешь в Техас. Там встретишь не менее отбитых мужиков, чем где-нибудь на Урале, которые далеко не за эту повестку.
Like their composition is pretty obvious, right? When you see a Jax, you see a Camille, you know what it's doing. It says on the tin, scaling to late game, and you go, oh, this is scaling to late game. But I think
это слишком поверхностное суждение, Преров. Я скажу так.
And this is one of the criticisms I've had of European teams is they're very lane focused. And they're not doing a very good job at challenging. Yeah, you can see there the gold graph, what I was talking about. They weren't doing a very good job at challenging Cookie. If you're watching a Chinese team and they're playing into a composition like this, which does
Геймлорды проиграли, да?
Jax is very popular. The second you get those kills, you say, okay, they don't have a player on this side.
Ну да, китайцы помнят, что мы у них Владивосток отжали. При первой возможности будет не против вернуть его обратно.
And in that way, you get a kill, you run into that quarter of the jungle, you take the Krugs. And then the jungler comes around, and not only did you get a kill on the top lane, but you also took gold away from their jungler. And so they're weaker in the next fight. They drift away from a fight, you can get another kill. And you just keep rolling that.
СГ нет, но это первая катка. Ты имеешь в виду вообще? По-моему, не было. Возможно, они вышли с первого места, я не знаю.
And the most aggression we saw was in lane, where they would fish for those isolated kills and not be able to do anything with it.
And to me, that's almost a experience that their brethren in Rix experienced the first time they went up against T1, where they were seemingly getting some early kills, mostly in the top side of the map with random, but the failure to leverage that snowball to a point where it was insurmountable.
Ну, Фрейрос, по одному посещению одного человека ты сделал вывод. Я не знаю, кто такой Шевцов, не знаю, что он продвигает сам. Может, у него задача была показать такую Европу. Или рассказать о таком. А это что за команда, Ракушка? Прирост, ты на каждом, у тебя каждое этого можно... Ты знаешь, что СССР с Китаем чуть ли не воевали. И после 60-х годов Китай и СССР были в очень плохих отношениях. В очень плохих. We don't need to make a dent here. We just need to kite, we just need to buy time, and the more we waste, the more time we waste now, the stronger we're going to be at that 15-minute mark when Death's Dance is complete on Jax and we can get into a fight.
And there's something that a colleague of mine, Joshi, from...
Китай помнит еще, как в конце 20 века у них отжали англичане, споили их этим, блядь, опиумом. Россия под шумок у них сказала, или давайте мне территорию, или мы вас забираем, оттяпала Дальний Восток у Китая. И китайцы это все помнят, они ради своей выгоды все делают. Даже сейчас посмотри. Кричали, что Китай друзья, друзья, а сколько они... Ну, у меня был самый любимый предмет история в школе.
Sure, Flash Wolves are gonna peek in. They're gonna see if they can get anything for free, but they're not gonna fight that. You can have the Cloud Drake.
Yeah, sure,
We're gonna win it 15 minutes.
Ну так Корейская война была до этого, до этих событий. Корейская война была в 50-х годах.
Yeah, you can't give Flash Wolves so much room to breathe if you know.
А насчет менталитета, кстати, как раз можно сравнить Северную Корею и Южную Корею. Один народ. Но разные общества. Как он меняется. На топ-1 Насус. 0-3-0.
Sorry, continue.
It is just game. We just finished game 1 and Des is already heading towards chaos net.
So you gotta beat him.
Which is exactly.
Ну, пацаны пересмотрели туры. Ладно, все, давайте забьем на эту тему, реально. Это можно обсуждать долго и нудно. Давайте смотреть Wildry.
TJ is just about to facepalm right here with Rafa's analogies. But right now we are heading into Champ Select, and we can see the first ban right now is Lee Sin.
And I would say, Game Lord, you're not going to, as you can see Flash Wolves doing, banning out the Lee Sin, denying early game power. Game Lord tried an early game kill lane last time. They look good on it. They don't have the experience or the coordination to be able to beat Flash Wolves by blowing them out during the early game. Flash Wolves have spent their entire careers avoiding being blown out in the early game. So, Game Lord, match it. Show me one of the compositions you played yesterday where you have that Varus who can be so powerful in the late game, where everyone else on your team has options to team fight there. Because versus Flash Wolves, you're gonna get to 15 minutes. The only question is, what do you have when you reach that point?
And that's what I think. That's why I think Flash Wolves are such a strong.
Блин, я забыл.
And they're not gonna, like, exactly as you mentioned. They're okay with giving up objectives just as long as they know that it plays into their late game plan. And that's the thing that Game Lord.
Ладно, после этой катки будет перерыв большой.
Right now, game 2, this is do or die for them at this point, Rafa. And
если они сыграют 2-0. Там видос вышел уже. В Discord кинуть.
Oh, that was the same problem we had. Yeah.
Mark's first time here on the analyst desk. This draft screen.
Did you think that it was like right here?
Yeah.
No, it's all the way on the other side of the stage.
Flash Wolves actually already winning this late game scaling battle here. Karma has been must ban all tournament. She's actually the most banned character at this tournament, and Flash Wolves get her right off the bat. This happens because
ну да, первое время, сейчас первый месяц будут все смотреть и пытаться повторять.
And that's exactly the problem. They feel like we've locked on, we know the problem, but Flash Wolves have an answer to that. Once again, they have a plan B, they have a plan C, and that comes with, as you mentioned, the experience of the team.
And that's kind of why I was saying, rather than trying to shut down this team and, you know, draft for the early game, let these late game picks through and trade them back and forth. Sure, you can have the Karma, we're gonna have the Jax. I think that would be a better approach for Game Lord. As is, it's not clear where they're going. We get a immediate Senna, which normally is a late game, and then it's a Lucian, presumably in mid, in the hands of Ruiz, which will be an early game threat.
See, I can already hear and feel Stewart.
На винде заебало, тут всякие уведомления вылазят. Рекламные.
And he has been very vocal about how much he hates the whole Breaker Lucian build. He's so used to seeing crit being itemized on it. It is not his favorite thing in the world, and with that Nasus confirmed in the duo lane, this means that the Dragon lane is going from kill bot lane to scaling bot lane.
And so Game Lord are going to have the same problem, which is once we get to the late game, we're going to have
Так, ну что, мы продолжаем делать ставочки. Делайте ставочки. Какой там счет был в прошлой катке? Он закончился. Так, ну давайте тотал 25. Тотал 25. На китайцев.
Okay, these two are clearly busy. I think Rafa was in the middle of something.
Может, есть желание, можно поднять до соточки. Или в пизду. Больше 25? Окей.
Well, wait. I think I figured it out. I was watching the drawing, but I think I figured it out. Was Cookie just quietly scaling the entire game on Jax, a character that's really good in the late game, and Game Lord never really invaded the jungle or took anything away from him, and just eventually he came online and won?
Oh, well,
this drawing is all for naught.
That's pretty much what happened. Yes, okay. Pretty much.
Then I think I can do this desk. Then I think we're good.
Okay, well, yeah, I am here for moral support. I had points about talking about a certain dragon laner popping off, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So
мема нет,
tell us about
смотрим.
Flashwolves, TJ.
Well, I can follow down on one of those dragon laners because Heste was running that map the entire early game. He's hitting sick hook after sick hook. It was a montage, and that play should have given Game Lord a massive lead.
Жестко.
But if you look at the top of the screen from about 8 minutes on, Flashwolves constantly are at a gold lead, constantly at 1,000 and then 2,000 and keeping growing throughout the entire game.
Так уже, кто-то же вчера рассказывал насчет того, что... Ой. Насчет того, что кто-то видел уже Тристану с Бартоломом на АДК. Алло, ты чё? Вейн, Корки. Хуя у них там. Опять Насу Сена. Ну, я же говорю, кто-то вышел видос с Тристаной и Уинкой, а вчера кто-то говорил, что уже играл в катки с такой. Ну, то есть кто-то уже перенял опыт.
It will boil down to Baya as well, who is also a substitute player. So there's a lot of levels going on in this current matchup, but you're absolutely right. It is do or die for the side of Game Lord, and we're gonna find out right now if they can indeed pull through and possibly push just to a game number 3. Kangas and Stuart, what do you guys think?
Well, Mika and the desk.
Ну прикольно, Вейн, слушайте, первый раз Вейн, да, по-моему? Вейн со стремительным темпом. Ну, Инг, да. Инг он такой. Легенда.
Yeah, Bruce on the hyper carry, you got the scaling in the top side, you got the scaling with Riven in the jungle as well, and already they're playing aggressive in the bot side, but there's a few things from draft that I want to quickly mention. You know, Game Lord playing the center instead, the center Nasus, means that Heste's not going to be able to roam as much and get that early game advantage that Game Lord won. They're trying to match the late game scaling.
And you see what Bruce is doing. I actually think this is the lane that can get aggressive because they will scale, but they can go all in as the Vayne Karma here. They can absolutely bully a Nasus and a Senna. They're going to force Heste's flash out most likely. Jash keeps him alive just barely, but that's exhaust, that's heal, that's flash out of Jash.
There's nothing you could do on Game Lord on this bot side, and this is kind of the weak side of...
Интересно посмотреть на Вейн.
you basically can't do anything at all. You know, when you have a Karma there as well with the crowd control with the poke, you have the Vayne that just keeps auto-attacking as well. We've seen a 2 versus 2 mid lane at the moment, which is something that we don't.
А, ты говорил, да?
Both jugglers
smited the cannon, and unfortunately Baya missed it. Hate to call it out, but
Трэша с люксой.
if that was solo queue, then Baya would probably be in chat.
Ну, прикольно, наверное, да.
well, right now they're going all in on redemption. Maybe not all in necessarily, but getting damage.
Блин, ну связка нас у Сена уже надоела, реально. Пока еще чего-то такого прям сверхъестественного мы не увидели на этой связке. Пиздец, я сам хуево. Да нахуй. Все так верят, что это какая-то чудо-связка. Хотя по факту она особо себя не показывает.
Okay, I thought maybe a crazy aggressive flash, not going to go for it. But the thing about the Vayne, she scales, but in the right lane matchup, she can get ahead. She can
с кармой, да.
This is definitely one of those lane matchups.
Ну тут скорее всего 2-0. Что мне так кажется.
Kid wasn't feeling confident enough to go for the flash the last couple ticks. Close.
Still an advantage at the moment, but look at flash wolves. Oh,
they're going over the wall. Okay, Lonely Kid.
Прилип.
Trouble right now. Isan joins in eventually. It works out. Sarah gets first blood.
Ну хотя бы по фарму не так отстают, как в прошлой катке. Не, ну там же смысл чуть-чуть другой в том, что... Кстати, а нас тут что он собирает себе? Ебать. Пизда себе, да? Нет, саппорт Сена. Почему? Фармит Насус. Типа налеет рассчитано. Не показывать видос Инка? Почему? Я иногда смотрю. Но мне их как-то не показывает, дело в том, что рекомендации. Ну, типа, если даже Вуд долеет, а будет там... Сена будет настреливать, уже будет АДК полноценный. И Насус будет. Нормально себя чувствовать. Типа в этом замысле. Ну, иногда посмотреть прикольно, что. Я не говорю там чему-то у него учиться. Ну, чисто... Я не знаю, я даже ни разу не скачивал этот Бравл Старс. Не в курсе вообще, что за игра. Ну, я видел на картинках, типа там какие-то человечки бегают нарисованные. Но не знаю, в чем смысл игры.
Few early game misplays now on the side of Game Lord. The overextension in the top side was pretty much unneeded. You know the objectives are up in, you know, in a few seconds time. You know that you could just play passive and try and work towards the team fights, towards the objectives. But instead, they got caught in the top side with the lockdown from the cookie. And
я не собирался. Мне хватает вейлдрифта. Ну и Диабло иногда.
Flash Wolves, this is something that they do. They're not contesting the objective. They're forcing you off of the objective. They'll get a charge onto that turret, take a couple of plates, and they also stop the dragon take. Even if Game Lord go back for it, Flash Wolves will get the top turret.
And now they're just going to move into the top side. They're going to get the first tower of the game from this as well. They're using the distraction from the Rift Tower in mid lane. And Game Lord have still not even really started Dragon. So honestly, Flash Wolves could just keep pushing in this Baron lane.
Yeah, they're going to go for even more. Lonely Kid
Перефарм 3000 почти.
has the flash available. No exhaust though. Hextech ultimatum under the turret. Cookie backing off though. He's tanking up first. He's going in. Lonely Kid playing this one pretty well. He's got the exhaust out. Lonely Kid he just barely gets the 1-for-1.
He gets a 1-for-1 trade, and Game Lord are able to take the Dragon for it as well. So overall, not a bad trade for Game Lords. They do lose the first tower of the game. They do lose that little bit of extra gold. It is currently
2,5 года играл.
roughly gold lead, but Lonely Kid would 1v2 outplay.
That was very tense there from Lonely Kid. He's feeling good that he went the Hullbreaker build, something that I know Rafa was teasing it on the desk. You're not a fan of. I did hear you earlier in our solo queue game saying, I kind of want to try out the Hullbreaker Lucian. You know, I've been saying it played. That's my British voice. I'm not going to do that one again. But the point is, all right, I'll take it. The point is, it kept him alive long enough to actually get that play, and that's why you take this item.
Especially if you're playing like Baron Lane Lucian as well, because most of the time you will be by yourself.
True.
We saw yesterday that there was a Corki dual lane. I can't remember by who. There was a Corki dual lane that actually built Hullbreaker, and that's
Интересно, Вейн как будет собираться.
by your side doesn't really have the most benefit, but with Lucian, I think the Lucian definitely benefits a lot from Hullbreaker because of the amount of AD that it also gives you, which helps with all of his abilities. But look at this, Flash Wolves again in the early.
Не, ну чувствуется, что китайцы посильнее. По макро переигрывают.
Hullbreaker. Try to say it like you do. Hullbreaker. Maybe that. From Flash Wolves on to Game Lord in the mid lane. 4,000 gold in the lead, just under right now with 2 turrets taken. Yeah, there's that one dragon claim.
GLD даже не знает, что им делать, такое ощущение. Да, Ривен берут. Ривен, Камила.
But like TJ had been highlighting on the desk, Flash Wolves also have an incredible amount of scaling, so I don't even know if I would say that's like a safe win condition for Game Lord here.
The problem is that when these two teams played last time and also in the previous game, it's always been Flash Wolves that are the ones that had the late game advantage. But now Game Lord are like...
And the late game macro.
Yeah, and the late game macro as well, and now it's Game Lord, they're like, okay, we're going to try this late game scale and we're going to try late game macro, but every single time that they've got to the late game, it's never really worked out for them.
Maybe they can get something here. No, as I say that, Easton just clears the wave. That's package picked up 30 seconds before the second Herald spawns onto Wild Rift. That means Flash Wolves should be looking to contest that one and immediately descend via up to that Baron lane. Game Lord have to make the decision now. Do we make a cross-map play or do we contest?
It's crazy how Flash Wolves just always focus down these Rift Heralds, because even though sometimes Flash Wolves, as we know, is like a late...
Ривен самая богатая на... Ой, Камила. Ну, у них жестко, Камила и Ривен вместе.
Surprised if they try and do the same thing as well towards this Rift Herald. You see Bayer is currently starting it.
Porky Vayne.
I guess we're grouping as 5 mid from Game Lord. To me, the signals that they don't want to give over the objective. The taunt lands, the charm, huge under Bruce with a package under the backline for Baya.
Ну что, Тотал не играет. Тотал не играет пока. Счет маленький, что в прошлой катке был счет там что-то не больше 15 был.
The fact that they got Bruce so low meant that he had to reset. They're on the Herald, but Flash Wolves are walking up. Can Bruce get here in time? Can Cookie get here in time? I think Game Lord have it. They get the objective. Do they go for
Ну хоть что-то отжали у них.
I think you got to get out. Flash Wolves are going to capitalize. They're looking to chase down Game Lord. Flash it over the wall. Isan wants the roots. They're onto Ruiz, but it is split. Flash Wolves, they don't have the...
Я не знаю, солдат, я ни разу вообще не собирал этот предмет.
So they will get one pick out of Ruiz. Redemption in trouble as well, and that is 2 kills picked up by Flash Wolves.
As soon as Game Lord take the Rift Herald, you have to back off. You should know that Bruce and Cookie are going to...
Да вообще я на Настю не играю. В душе не ебу, что ему лучше собирать.
They got the Rift Herald, but then they just overstayed. They hesitated a little bit. They were like, you know, do we go in? Do we back off? And at this point, you need a game leader. You need a game leader at that point that says, okay, we need to back off or we need to go in. You can't just be hesitant. You can't be like, do we go in? Do we back off?
Да не, ну у них пик хуже, блядь. Просто на глаз видно. Ну типа у них даже если в лете
beginning
У
of
них
the
Вейн
round,
расстреляет
the
этого Насуса.
initial movement, the first thumb flick from Game Lord was down, not up.
Yep.
They hesitated. They walked down the river, they walked back up the river, even if only for 2 seconds. That was enough time for Flash Wolves to make this play, and we see that time and time again.
Что у них? У них Вуконг, он уже бесполезный, он уже не станет полезным на этой карте. Ну, чисто ульту может свою бросить и подкинуть, и пиздец. Больше он уже ничего не сделает.
Sometimes Game Lord not on the same page. Some want to go in, some want to back off, some want to split, some want to group. And now, Kangas, I'm getting worried. This is not looking.
I think we're officially in worry territory. I think we've crossed the precipice into the anxiety-induced zone.
Especially because Heste's caught by himself, but Ree's going in!
Oh, big charm on a Bruce. He's got a massive shield coming in from Karma, though. Heste trying to be that front line.
Oh, the Karma!
Massive transcendent embrace from Isan! And Flash Wolves run through the fight yet again, not dropping a member. 0 for 3 trade.
A beautiful ultimate there by Easton brings everyone of Game Lord together.
Так они не ходят по одному, ты заметил?
But meanwhile, Cookie's just taking Dragon by himself. They're going to try and take everything, but they're just going to back off instead. They're going to take this Dragon.
Просто на этом пике трудно играть лучше. Лучше, чем те.
Karma has the biggest impactful ultimate for this exact moment.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at this Coca-Cola pop-off.
Вуконг.
Чисто. It brings everyone of Game Lord together. There you
Ебать, там Карма снесла Вуконгу. Нихуёво так. Да не, ну тут нету никакого шанса уже вообще.
And if you're at a moment where this game is at 20 minutes and that fight happens, that Nasus is doing more damage, but we're back to live and Flash Wolves going for a play that Game Lord started, and we're not ready to finish. So 2 more kills goes over. Game Lord will.
Ну все, получается, вылетают они. ПВ проходит в групповой этап.
He's just playing aggressive. He doesn't care at this point. He doesn't have that much damage, but I think Karma could just move swiftly there. But yeah, Loner Kid, Ruiz tried to get that bot lane play, but a really nice ultimate from Ysera actually dodges the charm away from Ruiz as well and pretty much keeps him alive. And it's just trades back and forth at this point of the game. You're over 10,000 gold behind.
Да, что киллы? Киллы тут не самое важное. Прирост.
They're in the comfort zone. They're in a zone that they know how to play.
В прошлой катке геймлорды вели по киллам, но отставали при этом по фарму на порядок. Ну, в финале возможно, да. В финале возможно.
Because then it knocks a person either towards your carries, towards your turret. That was beautiful from Ysera. It is rare that I see that level of mechanical understanding of Camille specifically. So, hey, hats off to you, Ysera, turning that play around. And hats off to Flash Wolves in general. They are playing this game nigh perfectly.
For sure. I mean, we talk about Lonely Kids. 1 of 5 at the moment. He's not having his best performance.
Точно. А ты ставил, ну ты же еще на победу ставил. Уже не просрешь точно поинты. Можешь либо в плюсе, либо в нуле остаться.
Game Lord, they gotta go for these kinds of plays, but it just doesn't matter. I know that you think you have the pick, but Flash Wolves were grouped up, they stayed together, all 5 were ready for the play, and this could be the game-ending push, the series-ending push to send SCA further into Icons. They'll just take the inhib for right now. It's looking like a Baron play.
Yeah, they're going to go back towards the Baron. They're not going to overextend too much because they know the Lonely Kid and Josh are coming.
На шорчик, и все.
From SEA are looking to take the second spot for SEA from Play-ins into Icons.
Ивейн танцора собирает.
Into group stage.
Не, Фрейрос тут уже не сыграет 100%. Да пиздец, нахуй этого Насуса сеной брать, это пиздец просто, реально. Я не знаю, сейчас посмотрим этот, посмотрим винрейт Насуса на этом чемпионате.
I kind of have to go back to, you know, the draft for Game Lord. This is just not Game Lord's comfort zone. Game Lord
Да просто уже, типа, ну, идея-то прикольная. Но она себя не оправдывает уже какой раз. Типа, делать одно и то же и надеяться на другой результат, это не очень правильное действие.
Team at playing the late game scaling comp because you don't even need to get into the late game. Lonely Kid is tickling Ysera right now in this 1v1.
Ну у них топ лес жестче еще. Камила плюс Ривен, ебать. Что лучше, Камила или Ривен? Или Вуконг и Люциан, блядь. Что лучше? Конечно, Камила и Ривен.
If you want to know how to use the Baron, this is how you use it. You push all three lanes into the base. They have the bot lane tower, and they have the mid lane tower.
Game Lord, this could be your final fight of all of Icons. How do you want to close it out? Where will the victory...
Просто и корейцы вчера брали эту связку. Все берут эту связку, не только там с Европы или откуда-то еще. А прям почти все команды пробовали ее. Да, Вейн живет, пиздец. Вот так вот. Так, у нас следующий получается кто? По-моему, японцы. Так.
They didn't need Elder Dragon in either of those games, Stuart. They closed out game 1 at the Elder fight, sure, but then they just end the game. This time,
да, японцы против РРQ, по-моему, какие-то Латиносы, да? А, нет, Индонезия. Японцы против Индонезии. Так, давайте посмотрим. Статистику. Насус. Ну, у Сены, кстати, 62% винрейт. Насус 42%. 7 игр.
Also, good selfie game from Flash Wolves. That looked good. It looked like they were set up. I know that some of the teams...
really good at Flash.
They are very good at that one. Yeah, but with that said, that is a 2-0 for Flash Wolves. They will continue on to the group stage and to break down that game even further. We got Mika and the rest of the analysts says with the 100% prediction rate.
У Корки упал, кстати, винрейт. Вчера был 60 с чем-то.
So far, the day gets dicey. That is where we start to split.
Ну, то Камила и мы. А, ну давайте по винрейту, да, посмотрим.
So good, TJ, and barely even broke a sweat. Like we just saw them take their, take their little selfie over there, and they just walked up, and it's like clean.
Super organized selfie. Game Lords do drop to them, but I don't think there's any shame in losing that one because Game Lord played the best version of Flash Wolves that we have seen so far.
Принято, Фрейрос. Ари и Ариана 100% три каточки на три катки. Ну, сейчас Камила. Камила, наверное, самая жесткая. Пока что. Камила, Зикс, Вуконг.
As he was pressing forward, Stuart called it.
Грагас, Джейс. Ну это так, если по соотношению нормальному брать. Ну, корки. Ну, как бы корки... Понятно, что у них тоже подравняется все к концу чемпионата. Корки больше игр 2 раза. На Казиксе. Казикс, кстати, солдат, смотри. На Казиксе 19 игр, 42% винрейт.
And for giving European fans even a little bit of hope that they would be able to compete in this series.
Yeah, you have to look back at what GameLord did to get here, right? When they played against Furious Gaming, they played some of the best games that the third seed was able to produce. And this was a
Казикс, наверное, сейчас самый хуёвый. Самый отрицательный. А, не, ну Люциан вообще, ебать. 14 игр, 28% винрейт.
But now, it is Flash Wolves, it is Nova Esports representing Group A. And we'll be finding later on who is going to join them as well.
That's right, and just to jump onto that, this is still Icons. This is still a global championship here, and GameLord definitely impressed everybody here with what they were able to pull out. Unfortunately, we will have to say goodbye to them, but that is, you know, that's nothing to take away from them. They did very, very well here, especially since, you know, we actually, I would say they exceeded expectations here from everybody here on the talent pool.
I mean, Roll Swamped team coming in, Jash from, I believe it was Control over in the European scene, coming in to substitute for GameLord here.
Так, что у нас? Видос вышел, надо его ссылочку закрепить. Ну, можно... Главное его полностью посмотреть, вы лучше после стрима там подпокушать. Подпокушать можно посмотреть.
How do you use a Dragon Laner as your carry for a team that has historically always played around the middle of the map? Well, we got our answer that game. They figured it out. Flash Wolves have enough reps on stage that they're back on form. This is the Flash Wolves that's so scary regionally in Southeast Asia, and this is the Flash Wolves that's headed into groups.
It's going to be very, very exciting to see them in groups. Now that they've managed to gel, they've managed to work out all of the kinks that they've had in the play-in so far, and now this is basically the form that they want to be in as they enter groups. They go all up against the other teams and everything, and they are definitely carrying that SAA flag with pride.
You could say that when they're at the best, they'll take opponents out in a flash.
Oh!
Flash Wolves. Boom! We did it! In a Flash Wolves!
А, я поставил, блядь, я поставил на 19 число. Думаю, почему он еще не вышел. Так, ладно, сейчас поставим.
It's okay.
Like, how much is that?
Listen, the faith in Flash Wolves served me well as...
Открытый дос.
Look at that. Most of us predicted Nova and Flash Wolves to begin with. Oh, wait.
Mark!
Oh, no! I forgot!
Most of us, that is absolutely
right.
I
forgot!
Wait!
Так, сейчас Discord скину.
What was it you were saying?
Please, go on.
These are, of course, our predictions.
Turn off the camera. Hold up. I don't remember this being part of the show. I forgot I wrote it for Furious Gaming. Listen, I was high on the Latam copium. I was really, really hoping that the boldness that they showed in the early stages and just going into the tournament that they were going to level up, they were going to surprise everyone. And listen, them taking game off of Nova Esports almost got them the mileage necessary, but you know, it is Flash Wolves that come through with
I think Furious Gaming should be very happy with their performance in groups. That was, of course, our predictions submitted before the tournament began, and everyone here expected that result, those teams to get out from groups.
I can't believe I was the only wrong one. No,
it's okay. There are other groups where more people are wrong.
But that's okay, Rafa. Guess what? We do have Dagon on standby right now with Ruiz from GameLord to comfort you, I guess, with that vote. Dagon, over to you.
Кристина, здравствуй.
Thank you very much, Mika. Joining me is the mid laner for game, Lord Ruiz. Ruiz, obviously, not the way that you
Нормально,
feeling right now after this run ends here.
Okay, I feel a little bit sad, if I'm honest, but I'm not so disappointed because I think this time we played better than the last time against them. So I feel sad because like the competition ended, but in the same time I'm motivated to come back again because like this was my second time in the World
Сейчас я сделаю еще.
And I hope like next year I can make it.
В чате.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask next. This is your second time you were with Team Queso. What did you learn from that experience that helped you this time?
I think like I don't know, like I feel the experience was the same, you know, because it's like you are going to play with friends one game, you know, and that experience is really good. But I think like the nervous in the stage, like before I was so nervous in the stage, you know, I couldn't control. But I don't know, with the time and like with the experience, I'm like getting to feel better, you know, in the stage.
Yeah. All right. And you know, knowing that this is the last time that we'll see you here, kind of wanted to give you the opportunity to talk to your fans because you've had a ton of EU fans, especially after your win yesterday. What would you like to say to them?
I say to them like thank you for like cheer us and thank you for support us in the bad times, in the good times, and like nothing to say. Thank you to you guys. I give my heart and we really tried our best in this last match. We really wanted to win. Like the first match was really close, if you can see, because we really tried, and the second match they just played it better. Thank you for cheer us. Thank you for cheering me always, and I love you all, guys.
There it is. Ruiz, thank you so much. Congratulations on making it here to this point, and I'm sure we'll see you again in the future.
Okay, thank you to you. Bye-bye.
All right, next up we have RRQ versus USG. Don't go anywhere.
Don't go.
All right.
Okay.
Hey.
Nice to meet you guys.
Так, ну вроде все сделал. Да, лустрики, Кристина, это такое дело. Так. Так, ребята, я отойду на 2 минуты, сделаю себе чая. Сейчас подойду.
Welcome back to Icons 2022, and up next we have RRQ versus USG, and I am actually very, very ready indeed, as you guys might see right up onto your screen. Of course, right now we are expecting that my predictions. By the way, I just have to share this and point this out because I think it's pretty obvious. I did vote for JDG and RRQ to get out of this. I am standing by that all the way to the end, of course. And
literally standing by it.
Literally, yeah.
Oh, she's got the drip. She got the RRQ drip. Yo, hang on. I want to talk to the manager. Where's my drip?
Yeah.
Well, I already tried this, Mark. We don't get jerseys.
That's right. But this is definitely going to be one of the spicier matchups of the day. I mean, you guys mentioned that this was one of the matches to watch out for.
And we were talking about the bottom lane in that last match. This lane is even more exciting. All about the middle of the map. You like duels? We've got it. Tansuki playing against Helios after both of them had all-star performances in their last couple of games.
Yeah, and just look at the stats that we're seeing right here. And Rafa, we can hear them right now. And I think that loudest voice that you're hearing right now is Helios. And he's just shouting, "Let's go!" And he's giving out these loud cackles.
And it's what we were saying at the top of the pre-show in the content piece that we had profiling Helios. He was very calm. He was very soft-spoken. He was very humble. You hear him on stage, he's like, "Yeah, let's go!" You know, he's speaking in Tagalog.
He just replied to you. He just replied to you.
What's up, homie?
But yes, TJ, this is going to be the match to watch out for. And this is basically, if Helios is feeling it, it's going to be RRQ. If Tatsuki is feeling it, it's going to be USG.
Well, I wanted to talk about those stats that we just saw, because you can look at the kill participation, and you might be like, oh, the KDA is wildly different. Helios, many more kills. But Tatsuki actually has like 75% kill participation there in the second slot. So yes, Helios is getting more kills. Tatsuki's getting more of his team's kills. And I think that is a really good way to illustrate how these two teams play. Tatsuki and Unsold Stuff want to wait till the late game, want to slow the game down, last as long as possible. And so the, 3-4 kills that Tatsuki gets during the key game, that's what matters. And he's going to play the Akshan, scale into the late game, win there. Over on RRQ, we're going to explode into the early game. It's Helios on Rakan. It's as many team fights as they need to win the game. And it's going to be down to their ability to force that versus Unsold Stuff.
And RRQ, you talk about the AP Rakan, that was one of the things that led into that.
Ну что, готовы?
That they took off of JDG.
Ставьте ставочки тоже. В общем, сегодня вечером будет розыгрыш, да. Смотрите внимательно видео. Вечером будем делать розыгрыш, кто познанием видоса.
First up, what's your prediction for this? I mean, it better be RRQ if you do want that jersey.
Mark, producer, what was my prediction? Hang on. Okay.
He had a moment of doubt. His entire Jersey life flashed before his eyes.
Listen, I gaslit myself into believing that I had predicted.
Ну, вечером, после стрима можно посмотреть. Прирос. Главное, не забывайте ставить лайки и комментарии. Это пиздец как надо. Чтобы видос как-то хоть продвигался. И досматривать его надо.
It's hard to keep track of these things.
Well, I definitely know where I'm standing. I do have the jersey ready, and I believe that these two teams are very, very ready indeed, as we can hear them. So, Candace, Stewart, we're gonna toss it over to you for RRQ and USG.
Nico.
Thank you, Mika, and everybody on the desk. Rafa, I gotta say, they have 5 players.
Да, есть преграды, да, специально выставленные, которые надо превозмогать каким-то образом. Правда, каким они не объясняют.
This is another elimination match, everybody. That's what today is all about, as well as the rematches. WJC versus WCS, and RRQ, of course, getting the better of this matchup last time around.
Yeah, last time around it was about the Helios and the Chaz show. We can call it, Helios on the Z, Chaz on the Kha'Zix, the double assassin.
No, I think his name is Chazix.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure they changed the name of the champion in the game after that performance. At least the SEA fans.
Well.
At least the SEA fans changed it.
It flows pretty well. But it'd be interesting to see how USG adapted to, kind of preparing coming into this draft and coming.
Так, слева у нас Индонезия, а справа, кто я говорил? Японцы, да, по-моему?
This is almost an expectation. I mean, you saw the desk. You saw the predictions right there. 3 across the board for RRQ. This would be...
Получается, если чтобы топ-1 быть на Джинксе, ты должна на этом ранге 1 в 9 выигрывать всех.
Yeah, I know they were in the group with Team Queso. That was quite rough. And Sengoku are still in the group stage as the number 1 seed, but
Получается, что так.
Historical context for this region doing well at international events, but still the expectation for SEA and for RRQ.
Ну, в плане того, чтобы доводить до победы.
They are a scary team. So
до окончательной. Так, а что у нас? Качество, да, по-моему, не очень. Да.
In the previous series that they won, so banning that away is going to be the Jace first pick. It's funny that USG actually banned away the Rakan as well, because that was what Helios played, and that's the game that they took against JDG as well. We were kind of watching it as well. We were seeing how aggressive and how crazy Helios plays, but
ну, значит, вот ты сама отвечаешь на свой же вопрос. Получается, тебе надо стараться не умирать, поработать над тем, чтобы меньше умирать. Попробуй так. Попробуй себе сделать челлендж такой, чтобы... Я когда пытался апаться жестко, прям когда хотел очень сильно апнуться, я, ну, когда не стримил, я себе ставил челленджи, типа там, умереть один раз за катку максимум, например, или 2 раза. Или типа, умирать не чаще, чем раз в 10 минут. Ну, что типа такого. Смысл в том, чтобы не умирать. 15-2-9-1. Не, ну тут, видимо, тебе просто не повезло с командой сильно. Значит, надо больше пинговать. Пинговать, говорить, чтобы не лезли, отступаем, не вступать в драку. Я сам грешу этим, надо научиться это показывать, чтобы люди просто так не умирали. Оно немного будет помогать. У меня тоже, Кристина, у меня такая же самая хуйня. Когда получается прорвать, вот я до мастера на твине дошел, да почти до мастера, 80 чем-то ПТС. Все. Последнюю катку, которая давала мне мастера, я не выиграл, и меня начало сливать вниз. И самое важное выигрывать именно эти катки, Кристина. Ты когда доходишь до какого-то предела, да, грубо говоря, изумруд 1, да, у тебя там последняя катка, чтобы апнуть изумруд 1, или последняя катка, чтобы апнуть алмаз 4. Ты старайся брать кого-то с собой, кто играть в дуо. Я так для себя понял, я сейчас буду так делать. Когда подходишь уже к пределу, что 2-3 игры остается апнуть какой-то ранг, ты старайся брать кого-то в пати сильного игрока и играть с ним. Потому что тебе будут кидать команду чуть посильнее твоей, скорее всего. Нет, то, конечно, стало хуже играть. Не то чтобы хуже начал играть, просто больше отвлекаешься. На чат на тот же. Очень много раз убивают меня, когда я просто стою и ТП-шусь уже и читаю чат. Ася у тебя есть? Ася? Геральт. С Геральдом пытайся. Попроси его. Он же хотел там... А, или Ермак. Ермак хотел играть. Ну, Геральт, кстати, нормально играет. Можешь его попросить.
Taking the Lee Sin away, you see how much dive the RRQ have. You know, they have the TF Destiny as well that could dive into the backline, the Camille, the Lee Sin, the Galio. RRQ comp just tells me we want to go in. We want to play aggressive. We want to get on top of that Ziggs.
This is what I think of when I think of RRQ. When I was asking all the SCA casters, you know, what's the identity of all the different teams in the region? I know yada yada yada.
Да нет, да, и у меня же такая же... Геральт за пантой. Да мы как-то играли, я не помню с кем. С ним, еще с кем-то. Забыл, с кем играли. Не с тобой ли, Фриров? Втроем мы играли. Вполне нормально вообще. Что я хотел сказать? Да, я не мог же... В начале сезона я дошел до алмаза 1 очень быстро. С алмаза 4 я апнул там, не знаю, за неделю алмаз 1. И застрял на нем жестко прям. Я потом психанул, вне стрима пошел. Блять, часа 4 поиграл и апнул мастера и грандмастера в тот момент. Ну, дошел до него быстро. Вне стрима. Не ворам, не ворам. Не ворам мы играли. В ранке. В ранке, да. Я сейчас тоже так буду делать. Я буду доходить, будет оставаться 2 катки до апа ранга какого-то, я буду играть... Не знаю, учиха пропал куда-то. У нас прям хорошо получалось играть. Желательно, конечно, с лесником каким-то хорошим.
Was it in America that we saw ADTF before? I believe it was rest, if I'm not mistaken, was it?
Yes, we did see some of the physical damage building TFs. I mean, you pretty much always go rapid fire, regardless
Люкса?
of that extra range.
Но Люкса в прямых руках очень даже сильный персонаж. Только на джинс. Да даже не саппорта надо брать, а лесника какого-то хорошего. В паре с лесом всегда заебись. На любой линии. С хорошим лесом. Так, что у нас тут происходит? Значит, ТФ начал пикать. ТФ начали пикать. А ТФ с чем? С лавированием. Лавированием. Я хочу попробовать с убийцей Кракена, как играл позапрошлой катке. ТФ. Кстати, Камила с лавированием. Заметили?
He's reset twice. Actually, Kaz is still approaching. Gonna try and use that set passive, but that is a turret plate over to RRQ.
We're gonna take a look back at this replay, and it was initially the E-flash, which did miss.
Проебался, Галю.
Yosun to actually get into range for that taunt, and that's all you needed. And also you had Marky as well after that with the gold card, with the lockdown, and it was a nice easy pickup. But already this bot lane priority over to the side of RRQ, which is something that you don't really expect from them, especially with this TF Galio lane as well. It's not really something that we probably expect from RRQ. Normally, Chaz likes to play around Helios, but this time I think they adapted and they realized that the bot lane is where they can get the advantage.
And the kill going to Marky, the turret plate going to Marky, as well as the waves. That is a rod of ages.
Я не закрепил, по-моему. Закрепил.
50 seconds. That has to be the fastest completed item I have seen all icons.
That's pretty crazy, to be fair. I mean,
that's not to say it's the most, but that I have seen, that is insane.
I mean, that means that, you know, the Marquis is going to be able to scale up a lot easier as well, because the Rod of Ages, for those who don't know, once you buy the item, you scale up every minute, and you scale up and you get more health, you get more mana, you also get more AP. So the sooner you get the item, the better it's going to be. Like you said, at 2 minutes 50 seconds, it means that the fully stacked Rod of Ages is going to come online a lot quicker than people can imagine.
And now you're level 5 on the TF, so we can start looking at those global.
А так да, ну по-любому, ну это уже все замечено точно, что типа хоть они там и пишут, что они никаких все настолько рандомно, никаких преград они не ставят, но это явно, когда ты подходишь к какому-то рангу, начинается дичь какая-то происходить. Да был тут, не знаю, он, наверное, пошел видос смотреть.
Marky actually ulties in with TF, with Destiny, and then Galio follows up afterwards as well. They have a lot of follow-up, they have a lot of roaming.
What did I say? It's a fun comp.
Yeah.
There's a lot of creativity that they can put together here. So far the creativity, though, has just been heavy focus on the bottom half of the map, but now USG make their first play. Flash out of Double J, they get the shot. So, using ultimates to get summoner spells. RRQ again. Looking at
Geralt из Риви.
Focus threes. Kaz does get the safety. Chaz could be in trouble right now as
Ну типа, солдат, у меня такого не было раньше. Не было. Этот сезон такой жесткий прям. Не знаю, что такое. Что происходит. Я всегда в соло играл. Я никогда не играл в пати. Всегда было все нормально. Ну, были, да. Было. Фрейроу, спасибо за ману. Было Было такое все равно, типа, когда подходишь к рангу, не настолько жестко.
Strange series of misplays as well. I'm not too sure why he used Destiny over there. I think he just must have misclicked it or something. But Exosun actually used the ultimate underneath the tower to try and defend Chaz. We're going to go back and quickly look at this replay. Originally, it was really well played by Chaz. It was the lockdown onto threes. They got the little advantage. But the problem is there's no minions there. So Chaz already takes the tower aggro. You can see Exosun. He uses the ultimate. Chaz escapes. But then Exosun is under tower as well now. So that means they get 2-for-1 trades, which is not bad for them. 2-for-2 trade, sorry, which is not bad for them. But then afterwards, what we didn't see on the replay was Marky actually used the Destiny all the way into pretty much the base of USG, which means that he's on the complete wrong side of the map.
You know, when I said they can do a lot of creative things.
Так, ну получается, индонезийцы пока ведут.
But is it not what I meant? As RQ now looking at Tatsuki at the package, Valkyrie away. And the Sonic Wave follow-up from Chaz's Lee Sin. That's another kill for RRQ. They are 3,000 in the lead.
Chaz is smurfing on this Lee Sin right now. Honestly, that was really well played. Sometimes...
Его, наверное, нету в чате сейчас. У меня видос вышел уже. На досуге посмотри тоже.
When you land a Sonic Wave, we should have like a chart.
По лору игры.
When not to do it. If you see the enemy Corki with 200 health, yes, you take that. Your body telling you yes, and it's correct. When they have the package and you land it, don't go yet. Hold it.
Just hold it. Yeah.
Maybe we can make some content about this later.
Maybe a meter or something. Maybe a meter is like, or maybe a prediction or something. You know, Sonic Wave lands.
Ну, Казикс.
Does he go in? Does he not go in? Is it the right call?
Freeze frame.
Yeah.
Типа, зачем брать Казикса, да? Если вы видите, что, ну, не показывает он себя как-то сейчас на киберарене, то уже можно, мне кажется, делать какие-то выводы со статистики. У него там каток много уже. Винрейт не очень. А вот Камилу банить надо, например. Зачем отдавать Камилу?
But the problem is now is that you're already so far behind on gold, and with this RRQ comp as well as
Алмаз хочется. Так тебе что-то много кто предлагал играть вместе.
A counter engage from USG, a little bit of an overextension there by RRQ. We said that RRQ is all about the aggression, all about the...
У Аси парень, кстати, нормально играет. Но он на ДК играет тоже. Вроде как.
But Marky's taking massive damage right there, and everybody from USG gets out scot-free.
Yeah, they're going to be getting out nice and easily for now. But we're going to take a look quickly back at that replay. So it was originally
Ты про меня, Фрирос? Я прослушал, я пока рассказывал. Бля, когда ведут, если ведут предметы из ПК-лола на рез щитов, это будет прикольно. Ну да, я скорее всего, я скорее не комментатор, я наблюдатель.
Dragon Lane turret, so furthering their lead slightly. Devil J now fighting Lark here. Cyclone's available. There we go. Parrot with the Ziggs bomb flash away from Devil J. But
Ой-ой-ой.
USG are not allowing
Галио красава.
It's a trade as Kaz did go down. Went for the showstopper. A little deep. 1-for-1.
А вот Галио для апа ранга вообще охуенно. Особенно в связке с какой-нибудь Дианой. Или Камилой. Но с Дианой, наверное, даже покруче. С Вукондом.
USG, they don't get the turret and they lose another kill.
USG don't respect the global presence that RRQ has from the Destiny, from Exosun as well. There's so many ways that RRQ can get around the map.
Прям на Галио можно решать файты в соло. Ну, сейчас, конечно, посложнее у него сейчас этот щит его заряжается дольше. Сейчас уже не так легко.
But dragons up. USG already have one. They can continue stacking these dragons, and they have the Corki package. As I say that, Tatsuki's actually going top side. Okay, now he's looking back. Yep. He's heading back towards the dragon. I expect this to be where USG force it.
Look at Carl's in the bot side.
Massive engage right there. Chaz in a lot of trouble. Has to go to stasis. But the rest
Ой, Лисина как приняли, да?
Continues the engage. RRQ. They don't have the comp to deal with this kind of upfront engage. They want to play more for the side lanes, so they lose a member.
Beautiful flank by Kars. I'm not too sure how he got onto the enemy side of the map, but he recognized that Helios was in the bot side. He was pushing out the wave, and then Kars just wrapped all the way around.
Ну попробуй, как я говорил тебе. Последние две катки перед тем, как апнуть ран, пробую играть с кем-то. Я тоже не люблю играть с кем-то. Ну типа... Не то чтобы не люблю, но хочется играть в соло. Кристина, я весь сезон этот боролся с этой системой, пытаясь играть в соло. Но с ней что-то не так сейчас. Сейчас нету смысла надеяться на то, что ты апнешься в соло. Ты можешь апнуться в соло, но нервов у тебя уйдет очень много на это. Поэтому, если нравится соло, пока что нужно привыкать к тому, что наслаждаться просто игрой, а не победами.
Honestly, USG, I still feel like they should have gone for that dragon because they took down Chaz, they had the vision control around the dragon, even though it is a little bit risky.
Просто игра сейчас не рассчитана на соло игру, на соло подбор. Broken.
They just play it passive instead.
But now catching up to live, I mean, what could have been did not happen. USG now need to find a way to get themselves back in this game, and flash from Exison gets the flash out of threes, but the hard engage continues, and that is a kill picked up from RRQ. Looking for more. Heroic entrance lands. Tatsuki the gold card. Sonic Wave, does he take it? Okay, it looks like we're leaning on the don't take it side of things for Chaz right there.
Ну, Казикс подтверждает свой винрейт сейчас.
Chaz was the one that actually played Kha'Zix twice, so now Chaz is like, okay, I'm going to pick the Lee Sin, and I'm going to show you how to do it.
That's
and he's doing
right
perfect.
There.
He's the big flex. 6, 3, and 4 at the moment, the most gold in the entire game.
As Omo calls it, that psychic damage, or maybe that was Grant. I don't remember. One of the SEA casters says that psychic damage right there. As Kaz, big engage onto Chaz. My end of the turret. Doesn't have the damage quite yet, and now Helios with the big flank on the chase! Under the turret, double kill!
Beautiful flank by Helios there, just diving underneath the tower. The stasis comes in from Chaz, and there's...
Что это за ДС такой, ебать? Жестко. Мейт, здравствуй. После доты ебанутая была. Ну, надеемся, что когда-нибудь будет такая же система, как и в ПК Лоле. Что будет соло очередь, пати. Я не помню, там соло или соло-дуо. По-моему, соло. А может и соло-дуо.
It's hard because you can see that Helios is in the top side. He could get caught here though. I think he should be okay, especially with Ghost Blades.
Destiny available for Marky. You got to be really
Look
careful.
at the mid lane though.
Yeah, like USG, they overload members topside, chasing a kill, which even then they probably.
Да не, ну понятно, в таком режиме как существовать. Типа там какие-то плюхи за это были или нет? Или типа просто так?
RRQ were able to get the mid lane tower, and Devil J was able to get the bot lane tower, and then Corki just overstayed in the top side. Suzuki, and oh my, Devil J, just chill, just chill.
Rude, honestly.
Just tower diving underneath the inhibitor tower, he just doesn't care.
And he's got the Hullbreaker cannon minion right now, while RRQ are literally
Просто так?
The Baron. There's nobody that can even see. I mean,
как говорится, просто так даже мухи не ебутся. Так что неудивительно, что они рассыпались. Ну, типа, смысл такой в этом.
I think you said it perfectly there. I think that's what RRQ are doing at the moment. They're pulling USG around the map. USG just look completely lost at the moment. They don't know where to be at the right times. They trying to commit everyone to the top side to try and get Helios, but then they lose mid and bot lane tower. Then after that as well, they tried to go in the bot side to try and catch up Devil J. But then after that, RRQ just take the Baron. RRQ just playing this map perfectly. And now with the Baron under their shoulders, now with the Elder Dragon as well, USG have to fight for this Elder Dragon because with Baron and Elder, it's really, really hard to come back, and they could look for engage.
Maybe they find something mid. Oh, they block the Justice Punch from Exosin. He's trying his best to stay alive. Maybe
да урона как будто мало у Играю прошло.
Look at the top of bot lane though. You can see that the double hole breakers, they're pushing into the base.
They're just taking the end.
They're going to try and end.
They're going for the end right now. Helios is on the Devil J's on the Nexus. The first backdoor.
Чисто они даже не успели добежать. Индонезийцы выигрывают у японцев. Давай, Кристина. Не забудь посмотреть видос и поставить лайк.
It played out exactly like I was hoping it would. I was like, there's so many different ways this game could go, and what a way to deliver from RRQ.
Like you said, it was the back door in the end. You had the bot side with Camille, you had the top side with Helios as well. And USG
А что там ставил Фрерос? Индонезия. А какой счет был?
Rude, honestly.
You said it perfectly there. I think that's what
22.
They're going for the end right now. Helios
23. А, ну 23. Получается в ноль.
Closer to the group stages RRQ, and now TJ, you looked at the draft and this was like, you know, you made a reaction right off the bat.
Yeah, this is something we actually haven't seen in a while, but once I identified what RRQ were doing this game,
ну меньше 25 было.
The way they won that game around Rakan earlier, and it all made sense. I saw the code of the RRQ matrix. They're playing pick comps. This entire tournament for them, RRQ has succeeded when they have a ton of individual engage tools. This game, it's Lee Sin, it's the Twisted Fate Gold card, it's the Hextech Ultimatum, it's the Galio taunt. And every single
Да, не зашел. Что-то вторую, уже какую? Третью катку подряд нету больше 25. Все рядом, да около. Глубокий анализ. По лысине будет.
Which is where that hull breaker that Stuart was talking about becomes so important.
Apparently, we see the secrets of RRQ here. You have to rub Kaigu's head. Yeah, it's like a crystal ball, and then you see the strats reveal.
These
you
look
see the
so
outcome.
weird on the.
we were cautious about it. Let's try.
There's too much product in my hair. Guys, stop. There's too much product in my hair. It doesn't have the same effect. Honestly, if you want good luck, rub Kangus's head.
Oh, yeah.
Ну, как вариант, как вариант.
anyway.
Go, my girl.
That
is Mortal Kombat.
And we do know that these strats are, of course, you know, built into the mind palace of the coach himself. It's really interesting because, interestingly enough, Unsold Gaming, they also do have a League of Legends Pro as their coach. So it's nice to see these two sort of like masterminds go head to head. But
Бля, они ее так слушают. Типа, блядь, что она за хуйню несет?
There you go.
Rub the head.
I feel like we've got a very lucky
I can't reach. I'm too tiny.
Hell
I'm too
yeah.
tiny.
Thanks,
I
Kangas.
can't even get the rub. He owes me one.
He'll
You're gonna
spot
have
you later.
bad luck now, I'm sorry. Your luck's over.
Oh no, I have this jersey here.
No. I mean, we both predicted
You
Rex,
should
right?
have rubbed the jersey on his head.
I mean, the jersey on this.
Ну да, таракан, он, блядь, вообще,
Perhaps, perhaps. But to continue
наверное,
on the
самый
point, I mean,
хуёвый
once
персонаж на этом
USG
чемпионате
is
будет.
leveraging your two split pushers at the hole breakers, it becomes so hard for USG to claw their way back because they're dealing with a very snowballed three-man core in the mid lane, and so you try to overwhelm them with a 5-man advantage or a 4-man advantage, but then
Самый нереализованный персонаж.
on the side lanes.
Nobody is, Mark! And that's what happened in this game. You have players building Hullbreaker, a Jace with Hullbreaker in your side lane. Say goodbye to your turrets.
Ну, конечно, если что-то не
You're not gonna be
поменяется.
able to say goodbye to your turrets. They're already gone. And that's what happened to them all game, because they kept trying to say, okay, well, we have to force a fight versus this player advantage. RQ would do a really good job disengaging, and then the side lanes, the turret would go down, and you would get one of those little ski slopes you see in the...
I do like a good ski slope, TJ.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ну, типа, хуй знает. Ну, вообще сильный персонаж. Но вот он не играбелен, как будто бы здесь.
But you should come to the United States.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Come skiing with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be great. The vibes there, absolutely immaculate.
Не знаю даже. Геральт, я тут Кристина, кстати, искала. Хотела, чтобы ты ее забустил.
Oh, it's beyond immaculate.
It's beyond immaculate. And Helios himself. Helios was cackling. That's the word for it. Cackling the entire match.
He kept being in these positions where he's like, I guess I just take a turret. I guess I just get a kill here.
I'm behind enemy lines. I guess I got a double kill. I guess I'm still alive.
Да.
And it was because USG were being taken apart by this spread out map pressure. And part of the problem is, if you are drafting a late game composition into a pick composition, there is nobody that RRQ is afraid of facing in the side lanes. They have nobody on this team who during the early game can take a 1v1.
Ну, я так понял, не сейчас. Вообще.
And so if USG want to respond to that style of composition, they need to draft something that can fight early and hard. So that
Вон чувак со значком события.
You can go, we got stuns for that. We've got a Galio for a massive taunt. We've got a Braum so we can stun everybody in this team fight. They didn't have that, and so it was easy. It was cackle time.
I do want to ask, is it okay to start progressing conversation into the second game and looking at towards the draft phase? Okay.
It's okay with me too.
All right, I just wanted to make sure because one of the things, you know, I wanted to bring back our sketch show here.
Ну, она просто спрашивала, какие апаться, и я сказал, что когда остается 2 катки, играй в дуо с кем-нибудь. И посоветовал тебя. Сказал, что ты киберкотлета. Вытянешь любого. Так, ну что, парни, ваши ставочки. Ставочки. Идет прием ставочек. Тотал тот же самый. Победа ФБ. Ну сейчас те же самые играют. Вторая катка. Индонезия против японцев. Индонезия в прошлой катке выиграла.
The point is that Kazakhs is going to be a contested pick, and I wanted to keep track of how well Kazakhs is going to be performing throughout this last.
Нет, да там если с ней играть дуо, надо играть в лесу.
And I also have a very special drawing, but I can't reveal yet.
Ну типа нету смысла на саппорте играть.
Wow. So I guess we have to stay tuned for that. But as we head into the second game right now, I believe our champ select is just about ready. We're gonna see actually if the Kazakh pops up. But I do want to bring up the mid lane matchup that we saw earlier because if I'm not mistaken.
Геральт, ты ставишь? Обидно. Вчера были такие моменты не раз. Одного килла не хватало.
Which is why when we go to the, draft
А,
in a moment,
я понял.
we're talking about, okay, how does this mid lane matchup go? Key part of it now is Tatsuki has the tools to lock down and get the 1v1 so that he can shine.
Yeah, but also, if I'm not mistaken, Tatsuki is usually on a Jace, which
Can play Jace, yeah.
which Helios managed to steal away from him.
У нее за индейские мотивы, да, какие-то?
Exactly. It's like, let me take away, let me try and steal away your champion. But it was interesting because, of course, Helios, he does favor the assassin champions. And Tatsuki, we actually see him more on at least in their region, more on the Garen, more on the Galio, more on these, heavy hitters that we have.
Сексуальные мотивы.
Assassins, which I think was Helios flexing a little bit.
Yeah. I'm gonna take your champion and I'm gonna beat you with him.
And then now going into game 2, he's probably gonna say, okay, now I'm gonna go back to what makes me feel comfortable.
Well, I think it depends what kind of composition USG runs.
А этот посерединке смотрит так на этого чувака, как будто съесть его хочет. У него пузо такое. Туда поместится, наверное.
So it's very unlikely that on the brink of elimination, at the edge of the Icons tournament, they're gonna go, all right, well, we're changing everything. So I suspect they're gonna go for their more standard.
Ну да, солдат. Ну, они равняются из-за чего? Из-за того, что играют... Все это нарушает... Все, может быть, это хорошо игралось бы, если бы не было пати. А так как в пати один человек играет в соло, так же самое, как и человек, играющий в пати, за счет того, что человек играет в пати, он будет чаще выигрывать. У него будет лучше статистика. Из-за того, что таких людей много, система выбирает, не делает различий между этими игроками. Из-за этого вся такая хуйня получается.
These are probably pretty much given, given what we've seen so far here at Icons.
We were talking on Twitter actually before the event. We were both kind of flying on the same day, and we were like, "Oh no, our cats are so upset, and they're complaining about being left behind." We're leaving the cat behind every game.
I know. We even here on Icons.
Yumi's crying.
Oh no! Don't
she needs
do that
a hug,
to me.
dude.
I'm a cat mom. Don't do that to me.
I don't even think Yumi has that
Yumi's
high
so sad.
a win rate at Icon so far. We've seen it, I think it's either been at least split down 50-50 or below 50% win rates.
And part of that is because the games where Yumi is let through, it is teams that are saying, we don't care if you let Yumi through. She is that dominant that the only time she's on stage is when teams are ready for her. The other bans here from USG are very fun because they're target bans. Devil J, of course, looked incredible on the Camille, as did Helios and the Rakans. The USG are just very specifically saying, we're on the blue side, we don't need to ban the power picks, or our Q needs to do that because we have first pick, so instead we're going to get rid of those star carries.
Big thing though, last time around our Q...
Да, солдат. Не знаю, блять, я хотел бы, чтобы сделали, знаешь, чисто хардкор рандом. Типа, есть алмаз один, да? Кидает, команду собирает, там, с алмаза 2, с алмаза 3, с мастера, да, грубо говоря. Просто рандомно людей собирает, кидает по командам и все. И вперед. Вот это было бы честно. Да, там у тебя может быть катка в нулину полную или наоборот. Зато это будет честно, ну, будет... отображение ранга будет честное. And that fits with the way USG like to play. You can see their entire draft so far pointing towards the late game. This is very reminiscent of a Flash Wolves draft, for instance. The thing is, Flash Wolves are very, very good at denying opportunities during the early game. You saw them versus game. Без всяких там подгонок. Просто если он есть в алмазе 1, значит он подходит. Там, или рядом, да, с рангом. Все, без всяких подгонок, просто рандомно людей напихали туда и туда. Примерно одинакового ранга, и все. Надеюсь, там нас спасет. Он уже спасает как больше года. Только в итоге Это ж вся история длится уже все время. Только лучше не становится. Не, ну хотя бы пофиксили хуйню, что типа там мастера с изумрудами попадаются, это хуйня. Ее пофиксили, да. Или там, блядь, какой-нибудь с платиной.
I'm kind of worried for USG. I think my best hope is that we see Kaz pull out something that's going to run really aggressively and provide that support. Without it, I think RRQ have the tools they need to get a repeat performance.
You got to get something.
Так, ну что у нас?
Roam to the mid lane early on.
Акшан.
We saw Kaz pull out really strong performances on things like the
Опять Казикс.
in the past as well. RRQ actually want to deny one of
Ну сейчас посмотрим.
the Kaz Alistar going the way of RRQ this time.
Yeah, Nexusin plays a really good Alistar as well. So this fits in. It's the kind of early game pick that works very well with Lux. I assume that's going to be an AP carry Lux played by Marky. And the game plan is simple. Alistar goes in, lands a Pulverize, the knock-up, and you hit the Pulverized target with the Light Binding. That's a guaranteed kill. Especially if Kha'Zix is in the area, you get that kill every single time.
I do love this Alistar pick on Exocent because I love seeing him on, you know, heavy engaged champions, because I think that his mid laner tendencies do tend to come out when he is on those heavy engaged champions, and that's exactly like the kind of push that RRQ do build around. And right now,
кстати, ну, солдат, соглашусь с тобой. Да, я заметил такую хуйню, типа, если на Казиксе одна команда проигрывает, следующие, если берут противоположная команда Казикса, они выигрывают. Есть такая фишка.
Into lane with threes, into jungle with Mai, and earn those key carries, early gold. Otherwise, RRQ will pick them apart during the early game.
Because you have an insane range advantage for RRQ. Poke is the name of the game when it comes to the mid game. J-Shock Blast and Lux Light Binding, because if you can whittle down USG from a long range away before they get in range to engage, it's over.
But if USG can last to the late game, they have the tools to win team fights, and they would want nothing else in their elimination game. One loss away from being knocked out of icons, they have their bread and butter. The type of composition that made them so deadly in the Japan Cup. All they need to do is land that late game team fight.
Well, we're going to see if USG can indeed stay alive in this tournament, or if RRQ will wrap this up. Kangas and Stewart, take it away.
USG from the WJC on their elimination match right now. Backs against the wall, down in the series, and 2 must-win games ahead of them, and they're going back to what has worked for them in the past, Stuart.
Сколько идут игры между двумя командами? До 2 побед. Сейчас стадия BO3. То есть BO3 значит не больше 3 игр. BO5 не больше 5 игр. Финал будет BO7. То есть их будет играть до 4 побед, да?
It's terrifying for Tetsuki to actually go for these plays right now, but maybe they go for a level 1 play very early on.
Полуфиналы BO5 будут.
They don't want the kills. Interesting decisions right now from USG. They're going for a full
Game pause.
Way back at the very beginning of Wild Rift, where the entire team goes to mid lane and shoves it, and then kind of goes around the map together. It's been a while since I've seen the team go for this kind of early game.
I think we've seen it a few times from like 1 or 2 teams really in the play-in stage, where you get the mid lane control, you push it in, and then it allows you to just rotate around the map. And what that does, you basically share the experience. So you share the experience, and then you get a little bit of control as well around the river. So maybe you can put some deep wards down, try and get some vision control of the enemy jungler. It didn't really do too much in that instance. They just went to mid lane, they just went to bot lane, they cleared the minion waves, but nothing too crazy.
As you see on your screen right now, we are in a tech pause, so as we investigate the issue for that, the reason behind it, hopefully it does not take too long to get back into the game. You see the face of RRQ, I think that they're in high spirits, hoping that we can get back into
Жалуйтесь.
2 games. I think that's what we're getting right there. Just all it's going to take is 2.
Yep, just quick 2-0 like the last time these two played as well. I kind of like RRQ's comp as well. Chaz going back to the Kazakhs.
Рекламная пауза.
It's comfort on both sides, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's definitely comfort and it's a priority pick on both
А
sides.
кто там следующий играет?
Make sure that you take that away. The Ziggs first pick, in my opinion, was a little bit of a... It's risky because we saw the Ziggs in the last game, but the problem with the Ziggs the last game is it got shut down really early by RRQ. They focused down on the bot lane. They made sure that the Ziggs couldn't have a safe lane, couldn't farm up to the late game. And at that point, when Ziggs is behind, is
Риксы играют. Вот, следующая катка будет интересна.
And potentially that's the reason why we saw that early game. That focus, everyone shove mid.
Риксы и корейцы.
Make sure we're safe. Make sure we're not getting engaged upon ourselves or dove early ourselves, and just play a much safer game because this is what we know from USG and from Japan as a region in general. The pace of the game much more, calm in the early game compared to a lot of
Что за новость?
icons. So if they can make sure that that happens here in this series, that's their ultimate game plan.
They have a lot of scaling as well, USG. They have the Ziggs, they have the Jacks as well. They have a lot of scaling, but you just need to absorb the pressure from RRQ. You need to make sure that you just don't fall behind early because RRQ, we've seen already from the last game, we've seen already in the previous series with RRQ that they're a team that they just don't care. As soon as they see a champion, they go in. They just play aggressive. We saw, Helios on Rakan as well, which has actually been banned twice already this series. There's something that USG... Exactly.
When you're that good at AP Rakan mid, that it's banned against you 2 games in a row.
Ничего.
Normally people at home are probably thinking, oh, that's just a support Rakan ban. There's nothing wrong.
Будешь сегодня драконом на туалете.
Before, it was actually Helios that played the Rakan against JDG, and they were actually able to take the victory there. But we're finally back into the game. We're going to be seeing how this game plays out. As I mentioned, USG going back to what worked against Stamina, a few comfort picks with the Akshan and the Jacks, but this is a whole different team now. This is not Stamina. This is actually RRQ.
And I like what the analyst has been saying is that there is a potential. USG can get to a team fighting stage with this kind of composition, and they have a lot of team fighting tools that can look for a fight, start it off, go for...
А, Салат, насчет того, что ты говорил, варды они ставят. Ну, варды они ставят обычные варды. Ничего необычного я не заметил, кстати.
They can do what we saw in game number 1, which is split USG up, which they don't do, by the way. What happened is USG still grouped as 5, and then just would choose one side of the map to go to, and then lose something on the other side. I imagine something similar might happen.
Yeah, I think for USG, they want to group together, especially with the Ziggs as well. They want to protect the Ziggs as well, because if Ziggs is by himself, you got the double assassins over RRQ already.
Да, будешь взлетать сегодня в потолок.
Onto threes, but this time, you have a Gragas that can be there for sort of defensive tool, but it's really hard for threes. I mean, it's all about threes and his positioning. I think if threes can stay in the backline, I think if he can play safe, if he can get a few bombs throwing, then he'll be completely fine. But it's so difficult, especially against an Akali and a Kazakhs as well, and even Helios as well. We saw in the previous game, he was flanking and tower dive, and he didn't really care.
And RRQ are so good at these double assassin comps.
Ну, жестко. Как можно перепутать, правда, я не совсем понимаю.
Usually it's Helios on something like the Zed, but they love having this kind of threat overload composition, this damage overload. Find one person that's squishy and just take them out of the fight completely. When you have the range of a Jason Lux to back up these assassins, that's exactly what I expect to see here. And it's an Akshan who's relatively low range and will want to swing into you, but now he's kind of deterred. He doesn't want to do that necessarily. So all this to say, USG have an upward battle.
Yeah, exactly. I think you explained it perfectly there. With the Akshan, even though Tatsuki did get 2 wins yesterday on the Akshan, I think the problem is that you don't really want to swing into a Lux,
пока ровно все идет.
a Jace or anyone like that. Because
you're closer to me. You're approaching me.
Что за руна у Акшана?
Easy. You can just. That's the problem. Is that if you jump on top of Alice,
лавирование часто берут, заметили, на топеров.
Back into his team, and there's just no way that Tatsuki can escape, but there's still so many things with Akshan that can come out on top. He has the revive, he has the crazy revive, which allows him to...
Ну, типа я смотрю со стороны мидера, куда он поставил его. В принципе, я туда же ставлю его.
USG does scale this game, they do scale really well with the Jacks, the Ziggs, and also the Akshan does pretty well as you scale into the mid and late game.
Well, so far they've
Банка черная карта.
early game that they were hoping for. USG have made it past 4 minutes on the clock right now.
Они типа не пропадают, да? Я, кстати, не пользовался ими. Я забываю еще, что они вообще есть в игре. Дело в том, что... Неудобно, что он один. На миде. First blood. Я надеюсь, Фрейрос.
RRQ and Exerson tried to jump in. They tried to get the combo locked down as well with Marky on the Lux, but Marky wasn't in range. That was the problem. They couldn't get the combo, and then Marky had to flash away. But as soon as Jax comes there, he has the Trinity Force completed, and now we're 10 seconds away from the first objectives on this game.
Not too shabby from USG. Right as I was saying, the slow, the calm. Well, hey, they do still have the ability to make plays happen, and the first one is a hit. Now, the neutral objectives has spawned on the map. We have the Herald, we have the Dragon. This will always change the game plan of teams.
Yeah, it's interesting enough that USG are looking to focus towards the top side. You can see Kaz is already up into the top side. The mid lane at the moment is just, you know, the two mages. Just Marky. It's basically, they might as well be mid laners, you know, Marky and threes on the Ziggs, on the Lux, but in the bind.
Oh! Exerson with the heroic ground pound, the legend. Stories have been told.
Ну, разменялись они, да, без всяких... О, Акшан прилип. Вот и... Казик, кстати, уже 1 килл имеет. По фарму даже перегоняет Джакса. Уже начало есть для Казикса. Ну, типа там гангали. Гангали Акшан.
You play passive, you don't overextend too much, but he didn't respect the flash that can come through from Helios and the flash that come through from Exerson, even though he did kind of mess up his combo a little bit, but they still got the kill in the end. And meanwhile, it was USG that pick up this Rift Herald. But so now it's all down to USG, you know, how are they going to use this Rift Herald? I believe it was Mai?
They dropped it mid.
Oh, yeah, he dropped it mid already. Sorry, I completely, yeah.
Right there. So it doesn't even get them a full turret.
Ну, мне не очень нравится Акали на топе у них.
Going back to that play before, Helios, he's just making a reputation for himself as a mechanical player. The thumbs on this kid are just insane. So, hey, if you like watching some high-action Wild Rift, keep your eyes on Helios. This player has got something to prove.
He definitely has something to prove, and...
Ну, типа, у них и так есть Казикс, Джейс есть. Зачем еще Акали было брать? Лучше бы взяли какую-нибудь... Не знаю, ну там Камила, по-моему, была забанена, да? Ривен, Камилу. Что-нибудь такое. Почему Панта не берут, кстати, да? Панта еще ни разу не пикали.
And that's what I love about RRQ, is their aggression. They're not willing to sit back, they just want to play aggressive, they want to go in, and you can see Exon right now, he is looking to try and make a play, but nothing too much yet. But in the bot side as well, you can see that
that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, Chaz and Helios have to defend.
No, but we do have to watch topside though. Ooh, sure, not landing. That might have been a kill for Devil J right there. But I was looking at the bottom lane because we saw a potential dive. Now they see Exosen. Alistair walks away. RRQ, they don't have a lot of control over their bottom jungle, but USG will decide to back off.
It's a lot better early game from USG, and this is all down to really that jungle pick from Chaz. He's not on the lease in this time, so it means he can't make the aggressive plays that he made in the previous game towards the bot side. So now Threes is able to farm up. He's got a kill.
АФБ, кстати, в последнее время никто не ставит, да? Никто не хочет рисковать. 50 на 50.
They're still within a 1,000 goal lead at this point of the game. It's a lot better, but again, you know, it's because of that Chaz pick. You know, he's not the least in, he's on a scaling champion like a Karzik, so he's not going to make the same aggressive plays as what he made in the previous.
А, Фрейроуз, как вы вчера, кстати, пошли на этот, в рейд? Нормально сходили? First Blood. Первая кровь, он же. Экей, First Blood, Экей. Первая кровь. Экей ФБ.
gotta play very carefully as we're setting up around these second heralds, these second dragons.
Yeah, you can see that Devil J actually has the most gold in the entire game right now. Is about 500 gold leads from Lark, and nothing's really happened in that lane. It's just been about farming. It's just been about playing safe.
Да?
It's just overall Devil J just winning out that lane just by farming and just by controlling.
Прикольно,
the
прикольно.
getting as much gold and experience as possible. And as you said, on 2 items already. So this Akali is going to be very, very scary. And it's a champion that can easily dive onto the backline as well, onto Ziggs, which, as we said, is probably going to be the main threat for USG coming into the next Herald, which will be spawning.
Да, я видел. Я зашел, я уже не стал ничего писать, потому что я уже хотел быстрее закрыть все. Но я видел. Я когда перевел свой стрим, смотрю там, а он как раз уходит в этот момент.
Lark in trouble. Protobelt's away. Has the barrier. Just gonna wait till the very last second for it. They're baiting RRQ in. Devil J doesn't use the flawless execution towards a Lark. Instead uses it to safety.
А я еще встал и трансляцию на ютубе не закончил. Уже начал пиздеть со своей. Смотрю, блядь, забыл трансляцию выключить.
Mai was able to use the counter strike to actually stun Devil J, and that means he had to back away instead. But meanwhile, while this is all happening, Tazuki's pushing the bot side.
Так. Ну что у нас тут происходит? По фарму одинаково. По таверкам одинаково. Ну да. Ну, я на трансляцию офнул, а на ютубе забыл.
In the last game, you can see that they were very grouped. They were scared to split up. They were scared to, use the champions to full effect in terms of, split pushing and everything. But now, they got Tatsuki.
Да, кстати, катки сегодня какие-то вообще очень нерезультативные. В начале, в первый день, по-моему, было первые катки там чуть ли не полтинник. 50-60 убийств было. У нас же тотал был 35 изначально. А сейчас как будто все меньше и меньше начинает убивать. О, Дариус прилетел. Ой-ой-ой-ой-ой. Ну, Кали, конечно, нарезает, пиздец. Красавчик. Приятное чувство вот это на Акале. Когда ты летишь, ебать, и сносишь пол ебла. Да, первая смерть.
Tatsuki's doing his best to get these side lanes pushed in, and he, to his credit, has taken 2 turrets and 2 additional plates. But when the team fights go like this, look at that! 3 people say, Lark's alone, boom! Everybody jump on him. Yeah, everybody jumps on. This is actually
не, ну, есть же как бы разговорник. ФБ это, всегда было ФБ. Везде, во всех киберспортивных этих соревнованиях ФБ, First Blood, это еще с контры, по-моему, пошло, или с Dot, не помню. Зачем менять то, что уже давно сложилось? First Blood. Наверное, с Доты. Ебать, так они развалили их. А, ну все правильно, да, там. Они выиграли предыдущий, да? Ну вот, как я и говорил, Казикс, если в чужой команде не играет, в своей заиграет. Типа того. Да, первый кварт.
to try and look for explosive costs. Boom, they go in. The combo on top of that, the final spark as well, and he's just dead. And that allows Devil J to jump in. He flashes onto the backline as well, onto Tatsuki. And Tatsuki, you just have to run at that point. And at that point, it's RRQ all the way, baby.
The execution in that team fight cannot be understated. Everybody at the same time following up on that engage.
2-0 получается, да?
1 for 5. That is almost a perfect team fight.
That was honestly, it was as perfect as what it gets without losing a member for the side of RRQ. And now, to be honest with you, the cold lead is still not that much.
Просто все эти названия пошли еще с тех времен, когда в играх было мало русской локализации. И все начинали тот же ПК LOL, все начинали играть. Там все говорилось, все предметы назывались. Так же самое я до сих пор называю Trinity, да, Trinity Force. Но Тройственный союз мало кто называет. Типа, все привыкли к тому, что когда не было еще русской локализации, был сформирован, так сказать, язык, да, этот, как это называется? Сленг. В то время.
Devil J showing up with pancake palms right now, and RRQ are benefiting from it here as USG again facing the wrath of the engage from Exosin. Helios underneath the turret, they haven't found the kill just yet though. USG, they're holding on. Helios,
да, что они там заинтили, да? Еба. Вы чё?
Looking for more. Tatsuki, can he chase him down? Exosin and Marky, they're all alone. Tatsuki's invisible. Camouflage, he sees nobody.
Знаешь, такой серый экран темнеющий и такой в замедленном виде, да? Еще и музычку такую наложить.
Back and forth, it was so close. It was threes actually that somehow survived in the backline. We're gonna take a look back at this replay. It's originally Cars that tried to go in, tried to get the engage, but Marky with the flash.
14 видов.
After this, the RRQ tried to go in, but look at threes in the backline. Look at his statue charge onto Helios. He denies the jump in. At this point, he can just stay back. He can use his bombs. He can use all of his damage, and he's able to get the kill.
Геральт, ты тотал меньше, да, ставил?
Spark from Marky is on point. He lands a light binding afterwards as well, and at this point, it was back and forth. And to be honest, it was really.
Прирос, короче, угадывает с победой, да? Но не угадывает с этим. Не угадывает с тоталом. Хотя сейчас тотал, я думаю, здесь будет, кстати. А, ну будет по-любому. По-любому будет. Больше 25. Не, Фрейроуз в этой катке будет. Будет больше 20.
RRQ are just trying to take the objectives that they can. They try and take the bot lane tower, they're trying to siege in the mid lane tower, and they're just going to take this tower really, really easily.
All outer turrets, all tier 2 turrets claimed. RRQ are close to 1,000, or rather 10,000 gold in the lead. They're 1,000 away from being at that number.
Там Акали на перефарме жестком хуярит. И люкса. Там этому... Акшан почему не собирает этот Смерть Разума? Да, Смерть Разума же называется. Почему он не собирает? Я не понимаю.
We mentioned that it's not too bad. We feel like Ziggs is a really, really strong champion, but the problem is when you first pick Ziggs, especially against a...
У них там АП урона пиздец просто. От люксы и от Акали.
It's so hard to try and protect the Ziggs, especially when you've got, you know, the Gragas and you've got other champions that are not really that great.
And he doesn't have the Rabbit on death cap for this fight. Ziggs not quite at the big power spike. RRQ are off of the dragon. They're looking for the picks. Light binding lands. Kaz! Almost just blown up immediately. And now the rest of RRQ go through Devil J in the back line.
Ебать. Просто развалили нахуй. 25. Ровно.
Chinese teams in the group stage, and now it's 3 SEA teams that will be joining them in the group stage as well. RRQ coming up, absolutely huge. USG tried something, they tried to work with them against Stamina, but this is RRQ. This doesn't work against them. The double assassin, the Akali, the Kaziks came up absolutely huge for RRQ.
They're too clean with it. At the end there, I was rooting for Devil J to get that penta. Rafa got the cast one. Grandin got the cast one. I wanted.
Да я вот хуй знает, как считать фриролс. Я вот думаю, сижу.
It's about the team. That's what RRQ is. They are about the team. Everybody performing, everybody acting at the same time in these crucial moments.
Ну, по идее, да. 25 и больше. Это если ты ставишь меньше, то надо 24 максимум. Да, получается, победил.
He's got the moves.
Exploring. They're practicing. Okay, they're intimidating the group stage teams. I think that's what that was all about.
They're like, group stage, we're coming for you. Doesn't matter what group we get. And RRQ honestly looking really, really strong going into the group stage now. And to be honest, if I'm any team that's in the group stage right now, I just want to completely avoid RRQ.
Yeah, there's a lot of very strong teams from the play-in stage. Reminder, the #1 seed from each region made it into the group stage.
Не, ну так не работает. Типа 25 и больше, да? Либо меньше 25. Тут полосочетание самом заложено. Фанат BMW? Нет. Не фанат BMW.
I was so worried we wouldn't get a practiced RRQ celebration. There it is as they make it to groups over USG.
Я вообще не фанат ничего. Сам ни от чего не фанатею и никого. И призываю всех не фанатеть ничего. Нельзя фанатично относиться к чему-то. Это не здорово.
Representing the Southeast Asia region in the group stage officially now. And that means there's going to be some crazy implications. But normally when we look at the post-game, we look at the highlights, we look at the assassin plays. I definitely want to look at Devil J, but there's a more important highlight package that we actually got a glimpse of, and it was the official RRQ cheerleading section in Mika and Riku. They were definitely living out the reactions of all the fans back home.
Ну, по факту.
You almost elbowed her in the face, Mika.
Very, very physical and very animated when we are in this stage, as you can see. Very,
Не знаю, мне все равно. Главное, чтобы комфортно машина была.
It's the thought that matters.
Комфортно. Не ломалась.
Oh yeah, I mean, I completely understand you. Like, I would say
А под какой маркой она будет сделана, без разницы.
But it's still a sigh of relief that the team that you want to support so badly is able to represent Southeast Asia well now going into the group stage. And before we proceed further into the rest of the series,
как будто поставили.
So reminder, in this Kazakhs, you know, we had Gladzix, we had.
Что он показывает это вечно?
But when Chaz locked it in and he had a good game, Devil J for me was the spotlight, but.
Так, ну 2-0 получается, сейчас уже будет играть.
Baby. That's right. I like it.
I think it matches like all of the energy that we saw on stage, like the cackling, the laughing, the cheering, and everything.
That's what I love about him too. RRQ, there's a
Сегодня быстренько всё.
The way they are on stage, but there's also an intimidation to it as well. The fact that they're having so much fun and
похоже на BMW.
Roaring battle cries on the stage, even if you're the other team.
Нет, я не специально делал.
As well, you can you won't hear them necessarily what they're saying,
На
but
ФБ?
you can feel the energy and the roar of it, and it
Давай.
almost is demoralizing in some ways. It's like, oh God, guys, they're coming for us.
That's absolutely right. And I think Filipino fans will, of course, know what that battle cry is. You know what they were yelling on stage. But we've got to take a quick break. When we return, it is the Group C.
Просто сочетание нравится цвета. Можно поставить, можно в магазине добавить, кстати, баллов стоимость, ну, за что-то поставить какие угодно цвета, чтобы ставили. Да? Добавить в магазин такую функцию? Чтобы сзади менять цвета можно было. Интересно это или нет? Толстяк загородил стояк. Вар, здравствуй. Я что-то не помню, я с тобой поздоровался или нет. Посмотрел, что ты зашел. Поставить, да? Не, ну будет ограничение на острополитические. Ну там только два цвета. Но я могу добавить еще третий, у меня есть третий фонарь. Я могу третий цвет добавить еще. Но я просто, правда, не знаю, куда его всунуть. Батл пошел. Так, ну, я пойду пока сейчас сделаю, пока тут циферки отсчитывают. Вы там с Фрейрозом, как всегда, поборитесь. Сейчас подойду, парень.
Icons 2022. I'm joined by our Qs, Chaz, and Helios after their win and making it to the group stage. Just wanted to start here. How are you feeling after that last match?
We are feeling good and looking forward for our group stage.
Helios?
Happy that we're able to be in a group stage.
What does it feel like knowing that every time you play, you have the entire country and a lot of the Southeast Asian region behind you? You have so many fans.
Of course, we feel motivated because a lot of fans in Southeast Asia are rooting for us, and we are thankful for that.
Helios, you lead. You're one of the leaders in the tournament in terms of kills. What has it been like knowing that you're one of the best in all of not just Southeast Asia, but the region in terms of picking up those last hits?
I can't tell that I'm the best in region, but I'm only best at PH.
Oh no, that's what this whole tournament's about, showing that you're one of the best
fatality
in this region and the world so far. Now that you made it to the group stage, what do you want to learn? What have you? Sorry, let's go back. What did you learn from this play-in stage that you'll use in the group stage?
I'm still learning of my mistakes. Still improving my gameplay, and yeah.
How about you, Jess?
What the question?
What did you learn from this play-in stage that you're going to use the most for group stage?
I think I've learned being aggressive, like Chinese team.
WRL is very aggressive.
Very aggressive, and we're applying that to our team.
And then finally, I needed to ask you, Helios. We heard that you're a big Riku fan. Do you have any shout-outs that you wanted to make real quick?
Hi, Riku.
All right. Thank you very much, guys, for the interview. The RRQ boys are through to the group stage. Mika and the boys on the desk, take it away.
You know, we hi Riku. Hi Riku.
I just want to say, Helios, thanks for lending me your Lamborghini the other day. It really helped so I could get to work on time. You're a bro. You're a homie.
That is just so cute, and I think we're gonna see this storyline just develop a little bit further as Icons progresses. I am definitely invested. I think
Зафитал идти было.
we do know the Filipino fans love
Вар, спасибо. Спасибо за вас.
But you know when you get giddy because you're excited about something. But right now we can get very excited about our third match. It is gonna be Group C. Yesterday, Random and Snitch led Rix to a victory over Vivo Kid.
Любители Мику.
Second shot at T1 who they almost took down earlier in the week.
Don't look at me, I'm still thinking about the Lamborghini.
Oh, you're still thinking about that.
I'm off balance. Yeah, but it's an important rematch, and there's a lot of adaptations that
Они показывают нам только смех ее.
going into this time around with the third seed of Korea.
I'm ready to go. T1, yes, there's a very late game scaling team, usually one of these Korean rosters that is very good at macro, very good at stalling things out for one critical team fight. And over on the Rix side, a team that isn't known for
Барсеточка такой.
to land those big team fights on the international stage. We came in with a lot of questions about that. Well, they delivered in skirmishes. They've demonstrated they have the mechanical talent.
Им там ячейки никакие не выдали.
Some of the best teams. And we saw them versus T1 initially take that series very close. What's different this time, all 5 of their players are on stage. Snitch was playing remote after he tested positive for COVID.
Играют Риксы, Европа с китайцами, Тайванем. Ваши ставки, господа.
And I was going to ask you guys what you think that will do for Rix. It's a morale boost for sure, and it's probably definitely going to improve some of the little kinks that they had earlier on, especially since that was a big wrench that was thrown in their plans.
I wouldn't put too much stock into it because when I caught up with Rix after their first initial loss against T1, I asked them, did Snitch being in the hotel affect you guys at all? It's like, no, the communication was still just as good. I think, yes, there's a slight, good vibes boost when you have everyone on stage, but I think it all comes down to the playing.
I'm going to let you finish, but Snitch had the best vibes of the year. And I think you know what you say. That is what you have to say when someone like Mark comes up and says, does it?
Короче, выиграет Европа, но ФБ сделает Китай, ты поставил, да?
Such a vocal in-game leader on stage with you as a contributor to your team is so important.
Я правильно понял?
I think it is going to give them a huge boost, especially given that Snitch has been such a performer in this tournament, even remote, even playing in quarantine.
There's been pop-off games. I think the most remarkable one that I can recall, even in their loss against T1, was that Echo. The first Echo that we had ever seen from Icons, piloted to almost great success.
ФБ Европа, Китай выиграет. Я понял. Блять, совпало.
How well Rix can actually use what the lessons they've learned in their failures against T1 earlier on.
Мне надо какую-то соорудить подставочку для телефона, для чата.
Once they get that early lead.
падает, блядь, постоянно.
It seems as though Rix in the very early game they are able to get those first bloods, they are able to get the first towers, and this happened during their previous match this time around.
Ну, смотрите, любуйтесь, пока ее показывают.
Roster-wide to represent WCK on the international stage.
And what a disaster for Korea this play-in stage has been.
That's right. And right now we're going to head into our predictions. And, you know, I think that these were the last two series that I think were the most difficult to predict based on what happened yesterday.
I'm alone?
Так вот она. Что ее нет? Слева сидит. Они поставили на Rix GG двое, да? И один на T1.
The Game Lord Flash Wolf series, and I said I ran out of hopium. It's because I budgeted the hopium in for Europe to Rix. I think they've learned from their lessons. I don't think T1 has showed enough adaptation going into the finals.
Что это за смайл такой?
This is their time to shine. And
за что хуй он хуем носом об хуй трется или что, я не пойму.
Hi, Riku.
Hi, Riku.
Hi, Glendon. Hi, everyone.
Riku here with me. I'm Grandin. We'll be going into our next series very shortly. T1 versus Rix, a rematch, but this time with elimination on the line. They really have to step things up because I will say I am looking forward to T1 winning again 2-0.
Oh, wow, the bold prediction here. I mean, it feels like after what we witnessed...
You're not alone, TJ!
Yeah, you're not alone! I mean, I'm totally with you there. The fact that yesterday we saw Sentinels grab that win...
I just hear an ooh speak. I just hear like, Sentinels.
Ну, ты видос посмотри, Вар. У меня вышел видос новый. Вечером будет по видосу, по знаниям видоса розыгрыш. Бля, смайл какой-то конченый. Реально. Новый который? Про Таргон? Лайк, комментарий поставил, Вар?
Totally understandable, right? We saw Core being one of the best RE players in the play-ins, especially the fact that it has been that
Я думаю, будет...
once we look back at their WCK performance.
Ну кинь комментарий, там что-нибудь черкани просто. Плюс хотя бы поставь.
You could go for an Olaf type of composition. You can go for possibly a Varus that we've seen being paired with the Karma at the bottom lane, because that's a ton of poke.
Я думаю, что просто разыграем скин, кто первый ответит на 3 вопроса по видосу. Ну, они там не будут какие-то... Просто по видосу там будет. Разыграем так скин.
For those top lane early dives, I'm loving what I'm seeing from T1. Meaning, potentially, if they pivot to a Lee Sin in this draft, they could move early and match Rix, potentially.
I mean, both games we saw from T1 were games that went past that 20-minute mark. So I'm feeling like T1 want to keep that going, you know.
Шпаргалки наделаешь. Да нет, там не будет каких-то вопросов таких прям жестких. Ну просто они на поверхности будут лежать. Я так уже придумал, что будет. Память как у рыбы? Ты же студент. Только экзамены сдал. У тебя должно быть наоборот, там все натренировано. Мозг должен выглядеть как мышцы культуриста.
I can see a Renekton happening at least for top side to make sure that you have that early to mid game transition, that bully potential, and especially that snowball potential as well.
Bright side is, a wave will likely never see the turret. You know, a wave will never make it to the turret on the Rix side. You just have permanent wave clear. T1 want to try and get rid of some strong options. Surprisingly, Rix ban away the Olaf themselves.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're not gonna pick up that Olaf for random for topside instead. I like the
Блин, вот Камилу не надо отдавать. Камила аж самая жесткая, наверное, на этом турнире пока.
They always will think that the Shen will also be there to join the fray. Because again, take note, where is the CC for Rix? They're gonna have a hard time.
Тудировать материал.
Meanwhile, for T1, look at that, they've got another CC on the board.
Не, но все равно тем самым ты развиваешь свои нейронные связи. Тренируешь мозг.
This time around, they get rid of those options. The Greg is taken away as well. T1 with a lot of pickup potential, and Rix now with the next two picks to decide what.
Дмитрий, здравствуй.
I don't know, Grandin. I mean, the way that T1 is moving right now, it's an all-in type of composition, removing the best disengaged champion, meaning Rix, you want to play defensive here to stall the game, you need a Braum, but this is their engage right now. Again, we talked about the lack of damage, and
That's
this...
a lot of engage.
Double engage!
Ну, хуй его знает. Что-то корейцев мне пик больше нравится. Тренируешь мозг? Каким образом?
Yeah, it's one of those things where how can you stall the game? You do have wave clear, check. Where is your disengage? I suppose the Alistar pushing you far away from your carries is a form of disengage, and the protection from random as well.
Блять, хуй знаю, не помню. А, китайцы. Тайванские китайцы, с Тайваня.
That potential, that outplay potential under tower at least.
If T1 do look for that aggressive move, and we have seen Penguin go there before, work together with Jung, and JY will have to send out. So, pairing that together, you have a lot of early game aggressive options. Question is, can T1 make those work for them?
Напрягаешь его очень сильно. Глаза краснеют. Блять, я представил тренировку.
Now with the attack for both of these teams, they're coming out of their comfort zone, so we'll see if this is going to work out for game number 1.
Yeah, I love that. I love getting them out of the comfort zones. That's the most fun part of this series for me.
Yeah, because you don't know what's going to happen, right? And it's incredibly important to do that now, because once you emerge out of the play-ins and you enter the groups, that's when it gets tricky. That's a time where you need so many cards on the table to release on the board.
Well, game number 1 starting here and now. We'll have to see if those cards are ready, or if they have it.
Ну, если слишком напрягать мозг, можно и толстую кишку выкакать. Да, если пытаться его физически напрягать.
Get that momentum going, get the tempo moving. A lot of that's going to come down to Penguin here in the bottom side when you have that Rakan. A lot of that pressure is going to be on you as random. He got a little bit of respite.
Бля, Батиссимо заебал спайнить.
This was going to be a very difficult game for the Wukong alone.
Хули он мне не платит за рекламу за это? Что это за спам? Тоже тренируешь?
Quite potentially. And with the way things are going right now, it might be Jong that sets them up on the turret. Maybe look for a dive or a play that way. For now, though, we do see JY spotted out by Vision. A heavy investment here to try and get some information on where JY is going to be.
It's so hard to gank a Karma, right? That has movement speed, can just run away back to tower. But that on the other side of the spectrum, though, range-wise for core, much better, meaning priority, meaning you can do this.
We're looking at parallel jungle here. Is JY genuinely looking for a dive right now because Random is backed all the way off. No way close to lane. That no rescue.
Yeah, gotta save that flash. Gotta make sure I love this from early game, right? From Rick.
Блин, Камилу надо банить. Типа, что непонятного?
From other teams as well, so I like this adaptation.
We do see them trade Scuttle Crabs here. JY will recall, will not look to try and pick up the jungle camps on the opponent.
Ну, в туалете все тренируюсь. Если у тебя там кроссворды лежат. Ну, хорошо. Флэш выбили.
Oh?
Light binding does not manage to connect. T1 won't be able to punish Rix.
Yeah, nice leap from 7 there, able to dodge away that light binding. I wanted to point out earlier that the fact that every T1 member had the control ward, that means, I mean, earlier it was pure
До первого ФБ.
now they've managed to change their trinkets. But that just means that T1 prioritizes a lot of these big vision.
Ну почти они Рейкана забрали.
And I feel like that information is going to help them early game.
Absolutely. We saw what happened. JY was spotted out by Vision along the top side, and that's why Random was able to back off before he was at risk of dying. Now, of course, we do see a trade on the top end, looking better and better for.
Нормально так просадил, да, Камилу? Только Камила почему-то по фарму на 300 монет опережает. О, ну это Рейкан прилетел. А, не, там Син бежит. Бля, сейвится.
Nicely done. No one's still going down. 3 minutes on the clock yet. Just a bunch of summoner spells being burned at the moment.
Авторитетом давит.
And you can tell that a lot of these teams want to create space already.
Ну, типа она сейчас самый жесткий реально персонаж на чемпионате.
I like this resilience. I like it from both of these teams.
It is a little bit surprising to see that T1, who have drafted for that early game aggressive composition, have not managed to find first blood yet.
Yeah, that's true.
And Rick's keeping up so well.
It's so hard, right? There's an Alistar that's super tanky. You're gonna push them out of the way, push JY, push anyone that goes near, basically. So,
ну, карма мид вообще что-то, мне кажется, не очень. Ну, там, типа, у них связка, они, да, хотят сделать, типа, Вукон ультует. Алистар подкидывает, Карма тоже ультует. Под это все дело Джак залетает с третьим. Не тут-то было, Фрейроуз. Ту-ту-ту-ту. ФБ берет Син.
Your only big problem is 7 right now. That you want to keep on a tight leash, keep him chained, make sure that his growth is slow rather. And T1 so far doing a great job.
But Rick's still working with the Jacks, and so I'm looking forward to see if and when.
А ты сейчас, наверное, знаешь, ФБ Китай, а выиграет Риксы. Наоборот будет.
Curious about for T1 is that since they're so used to the WCK special of transitioning and winning through Elder Drake 5v5s, but this is again an early to mid composition, makes me wonder if they do have
trying to force an engage in the mid side.
Ну, странно.
Still with his flash, but flash from Penguin expanded for that fight right as first objective spawn.
We talked about how T1 has to shadow, right? They have to follow Rix. If Rix wants to trade, no, you gotta go there instead. That's the reason why they're still waiting to see as we get random over towards topside still.
This is pretty wild, Riku. T1 delaying the start of the objectives.
Yeah.
Very few teams go for this play. Very often we see them just rush it down as quickly as it's up.
Again, they want to shadow Rix. They want to know where Rix is going to go.
Так, ну решили они разменяться просто. Герольда забрать. Бездны.
Yeah, a little too far away. They trade away the array away. Oh my goodness, you're infecting me with wound speech. Away the Rift Herald and take the dragon for themselves. The Mountain Drake.
Ну шанс небольшой, да.
Against a lot of the poke damage that Rix are going to have, but oh, that's cheeky. Delay stopping recall. And it's not just short cooldown. You might as well, right?
Yeah. I think that's also important, right? Delaying.
Посмотрим.
But I want to go back to my point earlier. Is that it makes me wonder if T1 can accelerate this game, because that is definitely a requirement for their composition. If not, 7 is just going to run over them.
Не, ну пик мне больше нравится, конечно, у китайцев.
Going back to what Kanga said, we've seen so many damage graphs already from the Ziggs. We've got 47k last time. That is humongous.
Симпатичнее выглядит. А, ебать. Криво.
T1, you said you wanted to see them get that tempo to start this one off, but it looks like Rigs are the ones that are trying to take the initiative.
Yeah, T1 being very defensive right now.
Попытка номер 2.
Most likely because they don't have information. Especially it might be a 2v3 scenario, so understandable why T1 is doing this.
And they are correct.
Yeah.
It is a 2 versus 3. T1 probably don't know that for certain.
Ты так в туалет ходишь?
And they made the right guess. It was going to be 2 versus 3. So T1 decided not to fight for that. So how do T1 end up scaling up? How do they pick up the tempo and put the pressure on the Rick?
Средства от запоров.
I really don't think Core can match Doom's damage output in the later stages of the game.
Oh boy.
I feel like that's going to be the worrying trend. The only other thing that I could see happen if Zhong potentially snowballs.
Okay, running down, but
Whoa.
Snitch is a little bit over-aggressive when it comes lightning here to
There
crash
it
forward. Look for the
is.
kill, jumping onto Snitch, just need a little bit more to phosphorus bomb to finish it off.
Gotta love what T1 is doing, right? They see an opportunity, they're gonna take it, as long as they know that in the end they're gonna win.
Doom with the instantaneous flash knows the Hextech ultimatum will surely end him.
Нормально, да, на реакции.
Yeah, Clue gotta clear the wave here. Random coming in.
Ziggs ушел.
Clear the wave as well.
It's a team effort.
It is a team effort. It is a
Effort to clear
requirement.
waves.
Exactly, especially if both of you are 2 melee champions, it's gonna be difficult against the Corki.
First turret likely to go down here. Riggs to pick it up with the
Ну
Rift
тебе-то
Round.
с перцем вообще
Meanwhile, we
по
see
кайфу
Seven
будет
rotating to the mid side. BDG in a
тренировать
small
мозг.
danger. Meanwhile, Core's fighting random by himself.
bait? No, it's
He's
not.
waiting for JY to show up. The phosphorus bomb a second too late. Won't be able to give them vision of random.
Both of these teams are playing amazing defense, right? You think Binding is not gonna hold him down, but every single time T1 wants to go in, apparently Rix outnumbers you, and it feels like because this is such an important.
Лучше вместо кармы взяли Ясу.
Caught alone, flashes back on the turret. The four members here to collapse in on him.
1-2. По фарму одинаково идут. Идут нормально.
Oh, that's tough. We'll see if they're gonna retaliate.
They will. Re-engaging here.
Ну реально, Ясуа был бы круче.
Snitch still alive, loses his life to the turret. Ultimately taken down, but can't strike down to try and dive in. Take down Penguin, the turret going down as well. They're working on 2 things at once. 327's got turret and he's got Penguin.
Multitasking, Rix. Gotta love it. Taking down the tower and getting kills. They've won that skirmish. They've won that fight.
Да, он, может, вышел.
It's looking really good. It's looking really bad for T1. The fact that 7 is getting early game kills, meaning that you can propel your Jax even faster.
He has that Triforce, Riku.
He has a Triforce already.
That's tons of damage.
I know. One thing that I'm interested to see that there's a maw completed by Core. So there's a ton of respect for the
3-3. А по вышкам 2 вышки снесли Эриксы. Заметьте.
But the fact that everyone from T1 were straggling, coming in one by one, that means they have a comfortable tower dive. Yes, Random fell into this battle, Snitch as well, or rather Snitch.
Тут они хорошо прям играли.
They got kills. I love this coordinated fight from Rix.
Opening up the map even more, and while doing so, closing up the kill gap, also finding themselves a goal lead. JY having to.
Что это за Сабзира показывали справа?
Now up against 7, getting more and more difficult to take down the Jax.
Не, ну камбэкать не умеют, да. Ну видишь, отставание было 2К, сейчас наоборот.
T1 has the shadow. T1 has to force fights right now, and that's the reason why they're here contesting this one.
Very marginal goal difference
on
both sides, both teams.
Да не, Риксы должны выигрывать здесь.
Ahead and back away. Rix now with the gold lead, also get themselves a second rift round of the game. Inferno Drake will
Ну вообще эту партию.
Wrestle for control.
T1 trying their best here to look at them coming from
Да Ясуо охуенно, солдат. Чисто там Алистар подкидывают, этот подкидывает. Вообще Ясик заходил здесь на ура просто. Доджить плюшки люксы.
Stun comes across, the exhaust onto the locks, falling through into the mid lane to finish off the final kill. Jump comes back into the mid lane, but they don't have the health to fight this. A beautiful knockout back on the Penguin.
Вот и все.
Still a little bit more damage on the Clue. They cannot find his 7. Wants the last kill, but he will not get it.
But it doesn't matter. This is such a good sign for Rix winning that skirmish. The fact that T1 tried so hard to find the proper position. Zhong coming from the river. JY starting a flank. No, Rix is just so good prioritizing targets, knowing which to go first, and that is the reason why T1 lost that fight. Let's take a look at that again. Coca-Cola pop-off here, and it started after killing JY, so it's a 4v5 situation already. Zhang trying his best, doing something from the backline, but the fight in general happened towards this mid lane area where Core and your Lux rather is as well getting targeted already. So if your backline isn't having the fun time at the backline rather, then you're in trouble.
Penguin actually buys quite a decent bit of time there.
Yeah.
Just enough for...
У меня такое ощущение, как будто у команд, которые сейчас пройдут в групповой этап, будет больше шансов выиграть у тех, кто прошел в групповой этап сразу, с первого места. Ну, типа, они сейчас уже разыгрались, такие на победах, вышли в групповой этап. А те просто сидели, смотрели, как другие играют. Ну что там, разошлись, Фрейроуз? Грач, здравствуй, здравствуй. Специально для тебя информация. Вышел новый видос, посмотри его полностью. Поставь лайк, прокомментируй. Надеюсь, тебе понравится. И вечером будем разыгрывать скин по знаниям истории Лиги Легенд. Ну, с этого видоса. Короче, по видосу.
I think that's the issue. If your carries, your backline carries, cannot deal DPS safely.
Броневертолет. Ми-8. Она смеется над тобой. Чинелада, здравствуй. Ну, я думаю, в 9:30 там где-то на вечернем стриме будем делать розыгрыш. Посмотрим.
Core did just use this package there. I do believe that was in response to them getting wiped. Wanted to join back into the map quickly. Prevent Riggs from picking up the Baron. So being able to go to the top side there. BDG once again in a spot of travel, but managed to find a bind. Onto the Jax, but he cannot finish off 7. Jung Joy's in, will not be released his ultimate. JY comes in, Penguin does so as well. But the damage so far away, it's only down to the 2 engages to win the fight for their team. But T1 will see Penguin fall.
Remember what we talked about, Grandin.
Ну, тем временем сколько получается? 5000 разницы. 5500.
They gotta make sure that it's a beyond 5k threshold of a gold lead up against T1. And they're doing it. They're pushing their lead. That was the issue last time when they went.
Ну, у них Ксин вообще ФБ сделала, в итоге фарма menше, чем у Алистара. Ну, не любишь розыгрыши, посмотри видос все равно, поставь лайк и прокомментируй. Я думаю, что может понравится видос. Там по истории, по лору игры.
Riggs, of course, having to hold on to a heavy mental as well. They need to prove the WREC's abilities on the international stage, having one more team going forward. To bolster those odds are always going to be a nice one. T1 behind by 6,000. See the Elder Drake coming up as an opportunity.
Yeah, this is the biggest test, right? WCK T1 always wins towards Elder Drake fights. This is it.
There we go. Fight starts. They're trying to get to the back line. Jong jumps in, uses the next ultimatum, but he's going to get cancelled by the stasis. Still over by the back line.
Ой-ой-ой.
Damage to finish off.
Ебать, Зикс. Ай! Зикс. Почти смог. Ну, 1-2. Ну, Джакс уже там машина. Ну, это ГГ.
Well, hello, who needs the Elder Dragon when we win the game? Many death timers. Rix is gonna have it and going 1-0 in this series.
T1 thought they had a chance for the Elder Drake to fight for that one for their lives in this game, but Riggs take game number 1 in the elimination series.
Oh my word, their match point 1 win away again from continuing their.
Я думаю, что здесь будет 2-0.
That's such a big deal.
So,
Зохан-пиздохан, Фредос. Ничего, ставь на Риксов. Ставь на ФБ Риксов. На победу Риксов. И на... Что там еще можно поставить? На тотал больше 25.
A different place,
yeah.
No, not
in the isolation room. You know, you still have the communication there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right, but you know, the morale, the kind of energy that's going on, you don't have that same kind of stage presence, realistically, right?
Yeah, it's really different. It's really different, Gwendon.
And a lot to look forward to. West
То же самое.
1-0 in this series. They just need one more to keep things going, and I am looking forward to see how they intend to pull that one out. I think T1 need to kind of refresh and look at this game as another chance. We're gonna toss it back over to Mika to break down game number 1 of this amazing series.
It is the revenge of the West here on the final day of play-ins, and as we were watching that series, one thing in particular really stood out, I think, and of course that was our friend Stuart, who was very happy with what happened. We have to give a massive shout out because he was basically shouting in our ears the entire game.
Риксы, да, но они посильнее этой команды. Посильнее этой команды, китайской команды.
But TJ, you mentioned how
это не самая сильная китайская команда. У меня хорошо, видос вышел. Посмотри, поставь лайк, комментируй. Главное, до конца досмотрите. В конце будет розыгрыш, точнее, на вечернем стриме будет розыгрыш по знанию видоса. Так что скинчик будем разыгрывать. Но это не главное, просто посмотри видос. Нравится, как девка одевается? Ну тут уже заценили ее прикид. Я тоже не пойму, что это за смайлик. Какой-то уматовый смайл, если честно. Неоднозначный. Такое ощущение, как будто перевернутый хуй.
And it was really almost in the same style as Flashfulls from the game 1 of the series, where they
Но он там 30 минут идет, так что можешь до вечера успеешь посмотреть.
Coming into icons, when we first analyzed T1 going into the play-in stage, I called T1 to be one of the more aggressive Korean teams that really contrasts
Сообщение заново пришло.
favoritism that Rolster would. They showed the early aggressive stuff from mainly JY on the Xin Zhao. However, as you said, Rix, they said, okay, you know what, it's fine. We're gonna give up the unnecessary objectives and these structures here. We're gonna take fights that are, yes, they favor T1, but we're not going to give as much resources in response. And then this is what happens, right? 7 comes online and he's a big boy.
Yeah, 7 came online.
Так я не пойму, ты написал то же самое или что?
And I think this is probably a combination of, okay, you're playing on stage, and so it's easier to make those errors, it's harder to take risks and feel good about it. And the way that the meta is shifting, where every time teams are running these compositions, where the setup is very obvious on stage. One team is running Jax, they're going to wait for the late game. One team is running Xin Zhao, they're going to try and blow out the early game. Xin Zhao Lux, like very strong.
Ну, ты написал то же самое, и мне пришло... Я посмотрел это сообщение, а потом пришло новое уведомление, а там ничего нового не написано.
Historically, it is very hard to play early game compositions at major events. The game just kind of biases towards the late game because everyone's playing a little bit more carefully. But also, I think we are seeing a very serious case be made for the correct way to play the game at this event being Ziggs, being late game scaling, being Jax in your jungle, and Rix just delivered a picture-perfect demonstration of that.
At least that is, unless you're a WRL team. It seems like they can just play whatever.
Ну, Джакс, конечно, если разойдется, пиздец. Не остановить его. Да, я понял, Фрейроуз, я понял. Просто сообщение, уведомление о твоем сообщении пришло 2 раза.
Right now it just feels like TJ, you mentioned on stage nerves. Kind of like the reverse for Rix because it's more like on-stage confidence now, especially that Snitch is back.
I have to say, I really did feel the presence of Snitch here. I don't know if maybe that's the placebo effect. I don't know what's going on, but the fact that Snitch is on stage with them, and this is the game.
Так, ну они там что-то еще не в зале даже.
Confidently, their fights look super organized. I believe that the presence of Snitch as that capable, experienced leader on the team is a major factor in that.
8К преимущество.
You know, the graph right now, and
wait, tell the audience how bad it was. I'm standing there next to Stuart, and you see that initial ramp where like there's this slight lead over to
Трова не пускай.
It's okay because T1's like hyper early game and Ricks are doing pretty well. They've got like jacks.
Ну Трова такой, да. Может повыебываться. Бывают прикольчики всякие.
First blood or two, and then sword just turns over. Oh, it's so doomed, man. It's so doomed. I just can't believe we're going to game 2 next. It's so doomed. Pack it up, boys. We're going back home.
That's literally what happened. And you know, this basically is the graph here of Stuart's emotions throughout that whole game. And as we can see, you know, like. I mentioned to him, like, we can literally
give me one more.
Grab anything that he said, and we wouldn't find out.
Ну у них Ксин, да, что-то просел вообще плохо. Очень плохо Ксин сыграл.
That is the best.
Китайцы.
Okay, we need you guys to cast Rick's game once again. Once we get into groups, and if indeed that does happen, but it looks like Rick's are on the right way, are on the right path, and right now you guys can actually see what we're talking about because we do have a clip here of Stuart.
Oh yes,
on this emotional roller coaster.
There he is.
Okay, this was starting up.
Like, okay.
Вот этот чувак, который вы говорили, ютубер, вот этот, который рукой машет.
And he's like constantly, and then it goes, he leans in, he's like, oh, I'm so stressed, we're losing.
Anxiety setting in, he's like,
oh, it's doomed.
So
it's
doomed.
over, all right, that was pretty good. Oh, there we go.
and there's Dagon saying like, oh my god, you're really...
See, I mean, Dagon is just cackling because he's just enjoying the polarity, the extreme polarity of Stuart's reactions, where it's just
Кто он? Я не пойму. Вроде уже всех показали.
It's so doomed. We've lost. Go to game 2.
That's hilarious, and you can't see.
А что это у него по бокам, сахар?
You can't see TJ in that clip because TJ said, "I can't stand next to you. I cannot."
I had to write notes. It was too distracting. I was on the emotional roller coaster with him. If I stood next to him, I got sucked in.
See, Stuart is experiencing what the NA fans were experiencing during the Sentinels and the Kwangdong Freeze.
No, he was experiencing something else. I wasn't NA fan during
Одиссей Нео.
Before this becomes a Stuart emotional roller coaster breakdown here, we're about to jump into game number 2. We're gonna get another one.
Yes.
We're probably gonna get another emotional roller coaster here. So we're gonna stand next to Stuart and get you guys, you know, probably another clip of what went on. Maybe, hopefully, this time with sound bites. I think. They're like so uneasy.
We need to mic him, you're right.
Yeah.
I've also been a huge advocate for miking the players, but I've been told that, and I think it's probably true for Stuart as well, we would need a censor. We would need some editing.
Multiple
Definitely.
Multiple censors.
But as we head into game number 2, I'm thinking, can Ricks pull it off once again, especially now that they have this huge confidence boost?
I think, like, we should stop talking about Ricks as the people who need to change something. They played a really solid game. Ricks are in control of this series. The question is T1. And for T1, as the last Korean team still in this play-in stage, obviously you have Rolster waiting in groups, but T1 are the only Korean representative left after KDF got knocked out yesterday by North America. So, huge pressure on them from their region, and they just played something that's supposed to be their bread and butter, the kind of early game that beat so many other teams in Korea. But they're playing against Ricks, and Ricks played the late game scaling. So
Достучался Фрирос.
Either double down, go back into the early game, play aggressively, or, and I think this is the better option given the way that our on-stage games have gone, pull out a late game comp, play to the Korean meta, and beat Rix at their own game in game number 2.
If T1 want to call back to something that gave them a lot of confidence in their series win against Rix, it was play towards the late game and be the ones that have better understanding of when to execute, when to call for
Ты так и хочешь его внимания, да?
Rix, I will say Rix looks so much like smarter today on stage. That feels very mean to say. But the decision making they were making around objectives, the way that they called that rotate down to the bottom lane, means that T1 aren't going to be able to beat them the same way they did the first time. You're not going to be able to get to the late game and just win a lucky team fight. You have to be prepared.
Ну да, пишите хотя бы что. Что думаете? Если не хотите ставить на баллы, пишите хотя бы, что думаете. Я думаю, что будет 2-0. Задремал?
Now that they're all complete, they have everything. They were able to get that sort of sacrificial game in for the first and second day of the play-ins, for the first batch of the play-ins. Now they have everything they need to seal this victory.
Он почувствовал, что ты ему пишешь.
Yeah, looking at these picks so far, T1 banning out so many of the things Rix are scary with. They're getting rid of the Kha'Zix, 7's favorite champions. They're banning out Jace. They're banning out Singed, and then the first pick. They're going hard.
Люц. Ну, как мы знаем, что у него винрейт не очень. Вот Камилу хорошо они забрали. Зикс, отлично.
T1 in their upper bracket finals against Rolster Y. While they didn't win out the series, the 2 games that they won, it was off the back of BDG's Lucian. I don't want to see a Lucian mid for core. I know we've seen a lot of Lucian with the whole breaker, but if you give BDG the tools with the Nami, Lucian Nami, this is a
Ясуо хотите взять?
This is going for hard pressure under the tower. If JY can find a jungler that's not the Wukong, something that like a Lee Sin or
Ну, у Люца самый очень низкий винрейт на этом чемпионате.
If we've seen one thing this tournament, it's that it's hard to dig something like a Ziggs out from behind turret. The Ziggs can sit back there and clear away of no kills in the world. One of the few things that can find kills behind turrets is Lucian, Nami. Long-range bubbles, lockdown targets, Lucian, even during the early game, can burn them down.
Я думаю... Мне пока все равно нравится Риксов пик больше, пока что. Я мы китайцы.
To contest the early game and build a bridge to that late game they're looking for.
And you can see that Rix are starting to take away some of the early agency options from T1 as well. Core, his signature Ahri. 7 picks overall in the WCK, something that could have paired alongside an aggressive jungler. And the
А что ты? Я не знал, что ты нами мейнер.
Hold on to something like a Camille in the early stage of the game. It's not used for the split push. It's used to create pressure on a side lane so that you are forced to use the Stand United and overwhelm, create a numbers advantage to get objectives down.
Really good draft from Rix. So the question's hanging over T1. What do you draft in the top lane? What do you draft in the mid lane? They are connected. The top lane is either going to be what you're playing through, or more likely in a composition with Lucian Nami on the bottom side, left alone. I'm looking for something like a Garen or a Darius in that top lane that can operate on their own devices. What do you have in the mid lane? Hopefully something
Почти все скинчики купил на нее. Мне на нее выпадал. Нами программа, по-моему.
Personally would advocate for the Wukong, swap it over to the Baron lane. It might not be the best matchup into the Camille, like a Garen or a Darius that holds on, but I want something that has hard.
А видели, кстати, нового героя в ПК? Кто матовый, пиздец просто. Сейчас после этой катки покажу. Дельфинчик.
And not one that looks good in any of these roles. We do get the Garen as I was asking for, which means that it's going to be jungle Wukong.
Бля, ну теперь они добавили прям жесткого, жесткий добавили. Но АП урона нету. Им нужно брать какого-нибудь... Раму соберите, блядь. Просто в саппорты.
They look like they are ready to take that fight. You see all of these champions, they are ready to brawl indeed. Rix, though, on the other side,
Красные красивые глаза. Ну, я все равно склоняюсь к Риксам.
Now, Core can play Garen mid lane. The question is, can Rix follow the Riven with the Renekton? Can they get that matchup specific?
Еще одного разбудили.
Which is what this game is going to come down to, as Rix try to knock Korea out of play-ins and advance to the group stage with one more win.
And right now, we can see Stuart very, very happy with that as he's pumping his fist up in the air. But right now, I'm thinking this is going to be a brawl.
Yeah.
This is probably going to be the fastest paced game that we've seen from these two teams yet.
This is my favorite kind of draft. Neither team got what they wanted. Both teams had to adapt mid-draft to what was happening.
Мои поздравления, Фейрос.
Down to mechanics, and it could go either way.
Well, I hope you guys are ready for this brawl fest indeed. Grandun and Riku, I combined your names over there and made some kind of like
Erixi?
Grandu? I don't know. It sounds weird. Grandu, over to you.
Okay.
Hi, Grand.
Well, Grandu be casting here with Riku as we go into our Rick.GG and T1 game. Rick's so very close to taking T1 down. Just that one getaway, Riku.
Yeah, and it's so possible for Rick. It felt like
Прерогу, спасибо, спасибо. 40, да? 40 эликсирчиков. Спасибо.
Is that big early game for them and maneuver around the map, get early kills.
And part of that is going to come in with the exhaust on the dude.
Арене? Да, я думаю, там Арене и Камила затащит.
Early dominance.
Early dominance, because on the other side of the spectrum, T1, BDG, Penguin pick up a very strong early game.
На Рингтона скин пиздатый.
Be extra aggressive, right? You dash in as BDG with Illusion, then you have Ebb and Flow with the bubble, with everything basically, and poor Doom has to basically defend from all of that.
Но я думаю, сегодня будет еще. Сегодня будет еще вечером. Я сегодня вечером ракету пущу. Пущу.
This is T1 bringing out the big guns, relying on BDG to carry this game this time around.
I mean, they absolutely do, right? You look back.
Короче, сегодня вечером ожидается празднование видоса.
Between players like Luna, BDG as well. They definitely have big shoes to fill.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's why I like it when Clue picked up the Gragas, right? Because this will prevent a potential dive that BDG can possibly set up. You look at JY here on the Wukong, that's what I'm thinking. Early dive is set up for BDG again. So if T1 is able to get BDG in an early lead, I feel like Rix can be in big trouble. Look, just as I said!
And they will do exactly that, make their way down to the bottom end, caught out by a control one.
Да, почему они уже перефармливают на 1000 их?
Back away now, Rix might try to fight for this kind of grab, but it's walking away from them. There's no point going for that.
Yeah, Rix sees this coming. You don't want to risk it. You don't want to lose that early.
Реально на 1000 уже перефармливают на первую минуту.
That's their support right now. That's what they're relying to win this game. In the meantime, though, for Rix, we saw 7 earlier on the Jax being that scaling carry. But this time around, he's the opposite. He's the one setting up for random and snitch this time around for this Renekton. Renekton mid, by the way, so if ever this snowballs again, which I feel like can be a little bit difficult because you're up against Koros and a Garen, you're supposed to not die during the laning phase. So I feel like
там, видимо, где-то пак крипов был большой.
And you know what that means? Skirmishes and possible fights at Rift Herald and Dragon.
Nobody really gets exactly what they want, so they're just going to have to make do with what they have. That being said, though, it will be very interesting to see what happens once those early objectives come up, if any team is able to find a lead before that happens. Last game, didn't really quite see that happen, despite T1's attempts. Shut down very well on the side of Rix.
Yeah, T1, again, has to be outside of their comfort zone. Game 1 didn't pan out too well, even though their composition spelled, you know, early to mid game. But this time it's very clear that this is early to mid as well, with BDG winning the laning phase. But when we go towards the late game, Doom on this Ziggs is going to be incredibly scary, and no one can reach him. BDG on this Lucian is very short range, so I think that's going to be the issue in the Elder Drake fights.
Gotta keep Doom alive. If Doom is able to keep outputting damage, T1 just genuinely don't have a way to respond to that. For now, though, we do see.
А что тебе не понравилось? Нормально вроде? Ну, получила 1000 от вышки, ничего страшного.
Despite that, ooh.
Зато он перефармливает Гарена пока.
Yeah, earlier game one, T1 entirely all control wards in their inventory. They've switched up their trinkets already, but you gotta like it, right? They're keeping an eye on 7 to make sure that they don't set up tower dives on Zhong on this Riven.
Yeah, keep track of Rix. You know.
Yeah.
They got all the data. Know exactly what they're gonna do.
It's very important because Rix wants to move early. They're so good at this early game. Yeah.
Zhong spots out 7 on the way over. And 7 is unsure if he wants to get back to the brush.
It's a little bit difficult, right? Because
По вышке через рунь.
outplay potentially that 1v2. No summoners burned yet by random here for Zhong, so
Не знаю, что он хотел там.
might as well. Second attempt though for this bot lane dive.
Yeah, round 2. They do have a bit of a wave coming in, but again, will be spotted out by 2 wards on the way over. Trying to trade back a little here as Rix gets a little bit of damage onto JY on the exit.
I like how Rix is playing this game because they know who else they're gonna play around with. They know that.
Ну, краба идите забирать, ёбаный рот.
They want to give kills to BDG.
Или там в кустах встали.
20 seconds on the clock for the next objective, for the first spawn rather, and that means it's go time. This is a time where BDG should get kills. Yes, Storm Razor, that's an early game pickup. He needs to get kills right now.
Yeah, Rix doing such an amazing job denying T1's attempts. Twice in the bomb side, once in the top side.
Так а почему не краба не забрали, я не пойму. Второго. Никто не забрал.
It's a trade. It's gonna be a trade. So we'll see if T1 will try again during the laning phase. But
да, почти полторы перефарм.
That's an easy first blood tower because you've got the Ziggs to finish.
Но они то же самое делают. Они прошлой забрали Герольда, а те забрали дракона.
Goes over to Rix. It's like you mentioned, Doom has a very easy time clearing out a turret with his satchel when they need it. I want to think a little bit bigger picture here, Riku. T1 going into this, they just need to take one more game away. Rix have already managed to find that first game. I might have to hold that thought the moment I start saying that. Rix and T1 trade in the bottom side.
Yeah, this is incredibly important. Rix is one game away. Literally one game away, and it feels like they're gluing every single thing to deny T1 from getting the early game that they needed for BDG. And it's just going so well, and it's looking really scary for T1 at the moment.
And Rix had a difficult opponent before this as well. Getting to this point, I mean, it just seems like T1, well, if they lose here now, Rix pick up a huge momentum boost going into the group stage. I'm looking forward to see how that one plays out. For now, though, making their way up towards the top end of the map. T1 again, stifled here. We'll look for a dive here as they try to move in onto Clue. Clue still alive. The calling not finish him off.
Ой-ой-ой. Ну, получается, Фреро, зашла у тебя первая ставочка. Юрий, здравствуй. Ну, сейчас и ФБ вышечки еще, да? Ну, отлично будет все.
Will get punished as random flashes away, has to use his hook shot as well. JY trying to chase after 7, but too far away. The safeguard will keep him out of range.
Но все равно отстают по фарму. Даже с ФБ, и с ФБ вышкой, и с ФБ киллом. Ну так, отстают, выровнялись.
Either has to wait for the next objective to spawn, but that's gonna take too long. They gotta make proactive plays, but you know what's making dives so difficult right now? Doom Ziggs! Wave clear, wave clear, wave clear! Where's the wave clear from T1? It's non-existent. BDG has solution? That doesn't spell wave clear. That spells that you're gonna have a hard time setting up dives and getting priority.
Yeah, just cannot keep up with what Rix is able to get done. The macro gameplay here, Rix reinvigorated coming into the series, and they're looking so
уже, да, застраховался.
And T1 having a difficult time trying to keep up, very frustrated. I can imagine going up against Rix who have been able to deny their attempts time in and time out. T1 unable.
Так, ну у них опять лесник отстает. У китайцев. По фарму.
This must feel so great for Rix right now.
Yeah, Rix have really been able to identify exactly what needed to be done to deal with these problems here. JY trying to stop 7 from getting in. The wave will start to crash now. Joins in the fight.
Ой-ой-ой.
Вышел.
No
Гарен как-то слишком рано ультит, как будто бы. Ой, хорошо приняли. Ебать! Вот это фейл был года, нахуй. Фейл этого чемпионата. Пока что, наверное. Ну тупо было вообще. Он, видимо, он нажал в него ульту, но тот из-за того, что вкус зашел, ульта переадресовалась на его, на ближайшую копию. Ну, я не знаю, как еще объяснить это. Но вряд ли он там не понимал, что это... Что это копия.
And get BDG snowballing. Actually, right now, it's really awkward for T1's composition, especially for BDG. Doom is going to deal a lot of damage later, and this is the reason why T1 wants to fight this. They got to get kills, triple kill, quadra kill for BDG, like right in this fight.
There wasn't a fight for the last objective, but maybe this time will be different. They start to move in here. JY tries to find the engage first. Rick starts to back away. The Riptile finally goes over to 7. In the meantime, T1 have yet to find an avenue in. Rick's doing an amazing job defending.
Rix is doing everything right, and now that they get the Rift Herald, denying more possible turrets for T1 to get back in.
Да не, это не баг, это просто он нажал ульту, а она из-за того, что он зашел в куст, ульт полетел в копию.
Jong gets kicked away by the Dragon Rage. A big spell used early.
They're definitely not going to be available for this objective. The Mountain Drake.
Here we go.
Yeah.
They get a catch on the snitch.
Растрепали крокодила на туфли ему.
Really nice pick there from T1. We'll see if Rix fights back. It's a 4v5 though.
Opens up some space. Think T1 are looking for the dragon now instead.
Oh, this is going to be awkward. 18 seconds. No snitch. 4v5.
Mid tower very difficult to fight for. Rix still looking for an entry angle back in. The redemption is going to come down. T1 top up to nearly full off of that.
Да, крокодил заинтил. Отдали дракона.
Through that big 50-50, that explosive team fight in that area.
I mean, you said they had that Elder Drake as their timer. T1 are really looking to stack up for it, and it's looking to be an Elder Inferno here, Riku.
Yeah, that's a scary part, right? As I say that's a WCK special. That's how they win games. But the biggest question is, does their composition even make that a solution now? Make that even a route now for them to win? And it feels that's a no.
Опять крокодила поймали.
And it could be possible because that's Doom there on the Ziggs again. We talked about Ziggs. Snitch is going down.
A beautiful combo here from John to finish off that kill. Culling not able to find a smart. Doom flashes away far enough in time. Still looking for a gauge here. 7 very close but blocked by the minion.
T1 wanting to get a kill off of Doom, but they get a kill off of Snitch. 4v5 across the map. That means they can take down towers.
Ну пока довольно-таки ровно, непонятно ничего. Это, по-моему, не в Африке было, а в этом, где-то в Южной Америке. Импотенцию лечили, да? Шаман их надоумил.
He's so far away. He's back home, right? He's back home in his couch, lobbing out the bombs. T1 are like, I can't go there. That's too far away.
В Африке-то мы смотрели, это чуваки прыгали со скалы. Ой, со скалы. Сооружения такие, деревянные. Ну да. Ну, им шаман сказал, чтобы вылечить импотенцию, надо трахнуть крокодилиху. И она их сожрала. Когда они это пытались сделать. Ебать, ну посыпались, получается.
process. They get back under mid turret. Clue very close to going down, but beautiful Dragon's Rage through the members of T1 block their engage.
I love how we exactly talked about how do you reach Doom. That's how you reach Doom. You clear up.
А, он амулет еще дал, да.
Straight to the rubber man.
Да.
And now looking to get some work done on the turret. A beautiful bubble.
Ну, умерли, да.
On the random. Hextech Automator out to buy some time, but he falls nonetheless.
And just like that, T1 takes back the game state that we were so concerned about.
Это бьют сотку.
About how, okay, BDG,
Ну, пока все к этому идет, да.
let's take a look at this first. This is exactly what T1 wanted to do, right? Tidal wave, a clear path, satchel.
Для нами, конечно, зарешала здесь. Нами пиздатый саппорт вообще.
Focused every single hurt and pain onto him. And that's their mission. Mission accomplished, no doom, no problem.
He's a back massage after that one. A lot of pain, a lot of hurt. He's a massage. Reptile was free on the bot side. That was happening. And so I do believe it got close to the turret, but blocked by the minions on the way there. So that.
Да не, ну, Вар, я то знал, что... Я то знаю, что нами охуенный саппорт. Тут у них подынтил крокодил 2 раза неплохо. У Люсана сборка интересная. Видели какая? Грозовая бритва, соляра, злоба Сирильды. Не, все. Тут пиши пропало. Реник потерянный какой-то бегает, пиздец.
And that was Rix trying to find an angle to eliminate BDG. Yes, they were able to, but the follow-up.
Да, плей-офф. Получается, да.
The exhaust onto Jong, trying to keep him off you, but he's hunting you down, chasing you so quickly. Ebb and flow, they managed to find the movement speed in that.
Тринду? Такая же пульс надо взять. Нахуй нужен. Ну типа... Триндамир нужен только для сплитпуша. А сплитпуш, в принципе, лучше... Лучше взять уже Камилу тогда, она может и там, и там. Да нет, Триндамир хуёвый герой. Ну типа... Намного полезнее есть у него персонажа. Типа в мете Брузми Триндамир, что он там сделает? Его зафокусят и сразу убьют. Точнее, законтролят. Один-один.
So crazy. There were a little bit of concern on the early game from T1, but at the end of the day, BDG not getting a lot of kills early.
Ну, Тристан самый большой радиус в игре, а Триндамир должен с руки бить. Вот его и хуёвость. Ты пока начнешь кого-то бить там. Да, солдат. Да. Ну, смотря какой контроль. Ты можешь у него отдать контроль, он даже не успеет он не успеет включить ульт.
And it worked so well at the end of that game. I believe BDG again was consistently be the highest earning when it comes to gold in that game. And that helped so much when the team fight came.
У него как раз контроль и надо отдавать. От кого? Как его еще убивать? Он как раз контроля очень не боится. Ну, типа, он здесь ничего не сделает.
He threw it to me. I feel honored. Thank you. Hey, but yo, Granda, you're looking fresh in the fit, bro.
Thank you. You guys too. You guys too.
Riku is also looking fresh.
Oh, thank you. Good.
Color coordinated. The beige and the white, really fresh.
Well, you two color coordinated, but didn't tell me.
We did.
We did.
You just you ignored us.
Oh.
Well,
I'm kind of TJ's inner shirt, so like that's what we're trying to go for. Sure, I was color coordinating with the caster.
There you go. There you go. Okay,
yeah,
good save.
That's true. Good save. Yeah. Sure, that's what you were trying to do. But yeah, since Grandon specifically wants to know, Rafa, what you thought about that match, I'm thinking we're in a little bit of trouble because we predicted Rix.
Well, I'm happy to actually tee it off to TJ.
Не, ну не обязательно весь отдавать вперед. Ладно, я не знаю, как тебе объяснить. Неиграбельный предмет. В общем. Окей. Докажешь. На что он способен.
Nearby jungle camps got the maximum amount of gold when there were early fights. BDG playing a different video game, working away at the bottom side of the map. That bottom side control gave them an early dragon. Again, a lot of the gold from that one to BDG. Got them an early turret. A lot of the gold from that one.
Да, еще одна. 1-1 счет.
Weird game stayed around the 8-minute mark, where they were behind in the game, but BDG had the most gold anyone has ever seen on a single AD carry. And that is this incredible statement of trust from the team on their AD carry player, and thankfully for T1 it worked out.
It was all or nothing.
T1 basically struck with BDG at precisely the right moment. See, the thing is, when you look back at the WCK playoffs, upper finals against Roaster Y, 2 games of Lucian, combined KDA of 7.5. You go down to the third place qualifier.
50 на китайцев.
Icons against GP, 3 games of Lucian, 3 straight wins. The combined KDA was at least over 8. I don't remember the exact number on that.
Bigger than 8.
That's pretty damn good numbers there. And there's a reason why that the BDG Lucian was something that I was looking forward to when we saw such high Lucian priority in the play-in stage early on. But the fact that they didn't go to it until now, I mean, this is the moment to do it.
You're on an elimination game, you pull out the pocket picks, and there were 2 of them, right? Yes, the Lucian, huge part of why the Lucian worked, but also the Nami, also a huge part of why the Lucian worked. Because every single fight Penguin was landing bubbles.
Не хочешь рисковать, а почему?
Was landing the CC to make sure that there were the perfect opportunities for that gold to start snowballing, at which point Core, yes, can come online. That massive Garen in the front line, just running the map for those late game team fights, helps again create space for your big carry.
Да, странно, что нами не брали вообще. Она, по-моему, сколько? Я ее пару раз видел всего. Уговорил.
Mika, I got an answer for you. You ready? Yeah,
I'm ready.
You're not gonna expect it coming.
I'm not gonna expect it. Sure.
Really,
Бля, надо попробовать люса так собрать.
It's gonna blow your
Чтобы
mind.
китайцы.
Yeah. You got it? Ban the Lucian. Boom.
Надо попробовать собрать люса так.
Why do I have a job? You can do all the analysis for me.
Видели его сборку?
You do have to give up one of the 3 bans afterwards, though, and so something like either a Singed or Yumi Karma would be hitting the open fields to be picked up by T1.
I think banning the Lucian is pretty good advice, and I will be interested to see if Rix take it. I think the other thing that they can do is just be aware of what is happening during the early game. I want to see them make a conscious shift towards identifying what T1 were doing, because it is very obvious.
Бля, свет у них там такой, вводящий в транс.
And I understand, because I was sitting there too, the idea of, oh well, we don't really care if the Lucian gets gold.
Теперь наоборот.
Worry about the Lucian getting gold. But now you know
Катка наоборот.
this time around it should be pretty simple to realize if they're stacking gold on BDG again and punish it. I think you ban the Lucian in game.
Так он и нанес с этой сборкой нормально.
A little bit more ganking.
I think though what we can also take away from this is that if you look at BDG, if you look at Doom, look at the damage output.
Сегодня буду играть на людски, пробовать такую сборку.
But I feel like Rix just here, they were just caught out in the wrong moments. You saw so many times that T1 caught them out when they weren't expecting it, and they took advantage of that completely.
And it's what TJ said about T1. They were starting to run out of time of when to strike hard with this Lucian, because at a certain point, Ziggs gets to eclipse that damage with longer range and far safer ways to engage in fights, because the Mega Inferno Bomb is a semi-global ult. But the fact that BDG is able to match, if not output more damage than the Ziggs at that point in the game...
Не, я про него ничего не говорил, он персонаж мне нравится. Просто у него на чемпионате винрейт маленький. В основном проигрывают с ним команды.
And during that draft, there was a little bit of a moment I caught. I'm going to do some pop psychology. Clue looked kind of nervous during that opening draft. It looked almost frustrated as the draft was beginning. And you see, like, a little bit of arguing on the team. It makes me wonder if that's a one-off. We got caught out by this pick was really good. This Lucian was very powerful. We're now stuck in between compositions with this Lee Sin for the early game and the rest of our draft pointing late game. How does that work out coming into game number 3? Can they find a composition they're more comfortable with?
Well, for them, they're gonna have to...
Хочешь на пенту поставить? Пророк. На пенту персонажа.
How they won in game 1, the fashion that they did it, go back to basics, go back to the style of comfort. If T1 are starting to assemble a composition that looks
Ну, да, она прикольно на нем сидит, но я ни разу не собирал ее. Так он там вообще собирал все чисто на криты. На скорость атаки и шанс крита он собирал все предметы. Чистый ска. Ну, есть, в принципе, несколько персонажей. На керри ставишь. Там коэффициент, грубо говоря, 5.
Well, before we find out what that game plan actually is, let's take a look at
На квадрокилл неинтересно.
at the top of icons. Everybody's predictions for this group, and see how
Ставишь 50, выигрываешь 250. Все, я теперь понял, кто. Акшан, вы бы сказали, что это Акшан. Hell's Devil, который. Милка. Милка.
There's a lack of faith in China that we have learned was misplaced.
I think I know exactly what's going on there, but as we can tell, of course, with our fanboy over here, with Stewart, and all of his emotions that went on that game, I'm very, very eager to stand next to him for this one as we toss this.
Да я понял, я знаю, что Мика.
Hi, Grandin.
Hi, Grandin. Hi, Riku.
Hi, Riku. That's how we toss now.
Big fan.
We just say hi.
Hi, Mika. Hi, Rafa. Hi, TJ.
Everyone.
Oh, come on.
Okay, fine. Hi, Rafa. Hi, TJ. Hi, Mika.
Why is Mika last?
We know, because Rafa said hi to me first.
Was that how it went?
I think so.
Okay. Well, on that side, on the predictions half, you know, some of these guys will get one of these two teams right. The people that picked Rix and T1 will get at least one of them right.
Yeah, it's not 50-50. It's fine.
No, it's a 100% chance to get at least one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so
right.
they get definite odds for at least one of them. Very happy for those.
Что такое, Фрерос?
You know, when T1 do eventually win this, I will have a 100% prediction rate, right? So.
Me too. We voted for the same thing.
We voted for the same thing. We're on the same page here. We're on the same page here. But let's figure out what T1 want to get done as they are moving into this match point. Rix were there first, and they had that first game win. How can they claw their way back in?
That's the biggest question, right? And I feel like, you know, TJ addressed this in the AD lane, the AD desk rather. It was
Не, на пентакилл даже можно коэффициент 10 сделать. По 50 баллов ставишь на пентакилл. 500 выигрываешь.
And again, BDG on this solution is just too good, so Rick's not surprised if they ban again Core's Ari and as well as the Lucian. Just ban it, take it away.
But Rick still have the blue side, so maybe they want to go for the Lucian.
Как это не было? Вчера 2 пентакилла на Варусе было. 2 катки подряд, Варус, 2 пентакилла. Ну, 2 разные команды на Варусе пентакилл сделали. 2 раза.
Well, Rix will get rid of the Ari, Yumi, and Seno as T1 looking at the Jace and the Singed. Lucian on their side, they do not want to give that first pick up.
Yeah, too important on that blue side pick, right? But the Karma is still open for the taking, and that's what Rix is going to pick up. Again, we talked about Karma being paired with a lot of compositions. We're talking about Olaf, talking about Jax as well could be open. Honestly, Rix can go for the same Game 1 composition where they want.
Honestly, I've seen Jax done incredibly well in multiple situations now. I'm quite a big believer, especially when you have that Karma. I was hoping that T1 would want to take that away first.
Бля, опять они эту карму берут.
Yeah, Ziggs again secures your late game. You're basically all set if you have the Ziggs on your side. So this could mean that T1 could be going back to basics, could be going back to the T1 special.
Что не заходит мне карма, особенно на керри позицию какую-то. Не, на саппорт надо заебись.
Due to use of Tsunami, due to use of engage style supports. Well, not even engage style support, and enchanter support, now they have a full-on engage support.
I know, the tidal wave just sent a straight path to the Ziggs, accessing that backline. So now I want to see T1 on the Gragas. Pick the Gragas here, don't let Rix ban it on the next rotation.
It's not a tidal wave, but the next best thing is the cow running in your face.
Yeah, it's gonna be scary. You need that explosive cast to make sure it's gone, but it seems to me T1...
Ну, что-то мне уже не нравится здесь Риксовский.
For Jong, that means you have the Hexic ultimatum, single target, able to remove immediately who your carry is. Because
они еще и Галио возьмут.
All you see are utility, all you see are tanks. For sure, Rix is going for a single threat comp like a Jax once more.
I am very curious.
А у тебя ФБ на кого ты поставил?
You mentioned how you expect that single carry composition. Does that mean Doom is going to default into like a mage, wave clear? Like, what's the plan here for Rix? Very curious.
They need a wave clear indeed, just as you said,
the Jax
right?
ban, yes!
Yes, it's gone!
Ну, я бы не сказал бы прям 100%. Я думаю, пока 60 на 40.
So for Rix now, I feel like they need a wave clear. You know what they need? A Varus. Varus, Doom and Varus is just so good, had an amazing performance, and if you pair that up with a Karma, it basically compensates the lack of mobility that Varus has with the movement speed.
I'll tell you what, Riku, I am a little bit concerned here for T1. A big part of what they were doing last game was diving the bot side, or trying to dive the bot side. Now, we have Clue on the Alistar. So difficult to dive in Alistar.
Yeah, because when you dive in, you just push them away, like, get out of my carry. But that's the question mark. Who's going to be your carry? Who's going to be at the bottom lane? If it's going to be a Varus, I feel like it's going to be a very vulnerable target. But I feel like that Karma is going to be...
Я не выспался нихуя.
Oh, is this going to be a Vayne? Oh, please, wait, no.
Лулу. Луха первый раз вообще, да? Сейчас Вейн, да? Или Джинкса.
They have to see more tanks here. I think that's what the call is. We need to see more tanks on the side of Riggs. If Riggs continue to double down and engage high, engage tanky champions. Well, I think that
Что понял? Вейн забрали. Я так и знал, что Вейн заберут специально, чтобы не давать ее. Что понял? Я не понял, Фриру. Что я понял, я не понял. А. Да, но меня что-то спать рубит, пиздец.
I do have just a little bit more confidence in T1's fire here. But Riggs, they have the wild card, they have the chance to pop up and show us what happens when you have that Vayne in your team. Of course, a lot of easy targets to take down if you are the Vayne here. Not so easy for the Kaiser, so maybe that's what they were banking on.
Yeah, I think that's the worry, right? Because if you're aiming for a single target We talked about this midway draft, right, Brandon? It's all about having that single threat composition, and that's the Vayne. But there's a Camille. Hexic ultimatum, that is the #1 thing that can immediately lock you down and kill you if you don't have Hourglass, unfortunately. You cannot buy time if you don't have that item yet. Level 5, T1 really has to pull the trigger and shut this down.
All eyes on Doom and BDG.
По сборке инка, что там за сборка?
The fate of these two teams in the Icons Global Championship.
This is so crazy. I love it. This is so poetic, honestly. It's so rare to see hyper-scaling versus hyper-scaling. It is going to be BDG versus Doom, just as you mentioned. This is going to be so hyped. This is going to be crazy. Or this could be 10 minutes making sure that BDG and Doom farm till they're ready to fight. It could go either way.
Да не, ну ЛП не вряд ли будет собирать.
That's the way, Riku. Farm it up. Get ready to fight as we are ready to move into the Rift. Game number 3, the last game between these two teams.
It is a Morgana jungle. It's 7 on the Morgana jungle.
Where's Hell's Devil? We need Hell's Devil for this.
We need Hell's.
Hell's.
Ну, кстати, там... Хуй знает. Там Алистар подкидывает. Моргана, блядь, кидает щит на Вейн. Карма на Вейн кидает. Ускорение. Бортовом Сейлу.
It's usually mid lane and bot lane support, right? But it's so very rare on the jungle. And I love this so much because that means Clue can be on an engage support and then be that setter. You've got Black Shield, you've got movement speed. I feel like Duo has everything in comparison to BDG. BDG has to make such a huge effort to make sure that he's safe versus Doom.
He needs to get his job done well by the same time.
It
also means that T1 have a lot more independence. The rest of his team can get things.
Ебать.
Look at the top side. He's fighting random 1 versus 1 and will come out ahead.
Зачем он? Что он хотел сделать?
He decided to keep his flash for the next potential fight. JY can double down on that, visit that lane later on, and finish the job.
A high tension moment for these two teams. Will T1 join Roster Y in the group stage, or will it be Riggs joining Team Queso?
That's gonna be crazy, right? Because yesterday we saw Sentinels get that win over Kwangdong Freaks, send them home, continue their journey in Icons. The same thing, the same tale can be told once Riggs wins this series.
Game Lords unfortunately will not be able to join as well.
Поглядим, Фрейрол сейчас, как будет. У них... Чё, лейт? Надо ждать. Там Моргана в лите будет дохуя наносить лужи. А, ебать! Что там за флэш был такой?
But the DOTs were hitting on Zhong.
I feel like that was pressure there. I think Zhong could have got the kill.
Yeah. There were 2 routes.
He had the flash advantage as well. Random used it the last engage, the last instance. I do believe that was a little bit of, yes, honestly just nerves going into the final game.
Don't want to risk it. You know, like top lane could go, could snowball out of control. 7 though.
Again.
Ебать.
Clue missed the chance. The flash headbutt.
What the fuck, блять. Алистар.
A lot of pressure on these two teams.
Second time around though for 7. Binding.
Rotating around from the back. Flashing in.
Поймали. Ебать! Саппорт нахуй, ты у меня фарм пиздишь, блять.
Using the Morgana jungle, using Clue to set up for that instead. And I love the zoning as well. Flash, ult, Soul Shackles, Penguin BDG separated. And now, JY gonna stick around though.
JY is here, smalls them out. Huge cyclone! They get the bonus damage out from core on the turret. Clue buying so much charge, and Embrace comes in. They're able to pull back on the JY.
Хорош. Блядь. Хуёво, что Кайса взяла килл.
BDG by lands on the Penguin does not give T1 the chance to get back in.
Amazing cyclone from JY, right, for that tower dive. Rick saw that. They could have gotten a kill from BDG, but because T1 were patient,
Он закрывал АДК.
This should be a kill. Barrier out for random.
Дариус подприлип. Дариус слишком-то играет агрессивно. Против Камилы, по-моему.
T1 2-2 now, have just a marginally larger goal lead, but Rix as well. You see Doom here, he's holding a pretty good amount of gold, able to hit a pretty big spike. You see on BDG sides, able to pick up the BF sword, the Vampiric Scepter and the Longsword, giving him the Acadian Rain upgrade. A pretty big power spike here for T1.
Yeah, that's absolutely important, right? Especially if you're laning, you
Моргана, по идее, могла стан кинуть. Кэсси. Не знаю, я не уследил. А, ФБ Риксы, да? А ты ставил что-то? А, на китайца.
Will T1 look for a fight? The answer should be no, as they move back down to bot lane to try and pick up more farm.
Honestly, Rix can do the same thing that BDG did in game number 2. Get the Rift Herald, funnel
Ну, Риксы и Геральда забирает первым всегда.
accelerate his gold count, and then fight at the third dragon. Honestly, that they can definitely do that. We'll see if BDG...
Свап произошел линии. Война пошла на топ.
I'm looking at the gold, and right now BDG is winning that for just a very teeny tiny margin.
Sure. Gets a little bit more on the bot side. It is interesting to see Doom here in the solo lane against Zhong, but Zhong has a difficult time trying to hold the Vayne in place, at least by himself. We'll just look to back away. And as we start to see a couple of items come through for T1 and Rix. Thoughts on the next fights that are going to happen?
Ну я же букмекерщик.
Okay, for me, I
Привел.
feel like Rix is going to win because they have
Задача такая.
protection for Doom. And they have 2 tanky members that is able to soak a lot of pressure, soak a lot of damage for T1. On the other hand, though, T1 has a lot of answers to remove a single threat comp. We talked about Hextech Ultimatum into Cyclone. So as long as Doom is alive, Rix will win the fight. If T1 can hit their ults correctly, they're gonna lose.
I love how active JY has been throughout this game. Constantly moving around, trying to set his team up for success. But a very good job done here by Rix as well to prevent all of that, as John continues to try and snowball his team even further. Random in a spot of trouble as JY is looking for a dive here as well. Ooh, the Ignite to cut the kilo and Honey Fruit flashing in. They managed to get the dive going. JY comes in, a beautiful Emperor end to reverse the damage coming through. The bleed onto JY, but he heals up. He survives through it all. Down the bottom end, Clue trying to force an engage here on the Peg.
Дариуса заглушили. Ну, тем временем... Ай, как кайса ушла, да?
Gotta love what T1 is doing, right? They're amplifying John because he is the primary answer to eliminate Doom. He's able to access the backline and just single target him basically with a Hextech Ultimatum. In response to this, though, Rick saw an opportunity that, hey, JY is on top side. It's our time to dive bot lane as an exchange. But T1 prevents any sort of death on their side for that dive. I think that's a pretty good job.
Especially with the Rift Herald being used. T1 only lost that bot side
Ну, Дариус на косарь отстает.
Yeah, definitely, right. I feel like Rix wanted to get extra kills over that dive. But when we look at the gold, again, BDG is doing a phenomenal job replicating his performance from game number 2. If I'm not getting any kills, I'm just going to get all gold to myself. One thing that I'm looking at, though, when it comes to the 15 to 20-minute mark, is that T1's composition is not a single threat comp. They have cores going to scale so well in the late game. And I feel like that's the concern that Rix has to face in fights where they cannot pull the trigger.
A massive rotation here from Rix up towards the top side. BDG gets caught here by Clue, flashing forward.
Fine.
Or not even using the flash, just has to use the rocket belt.
Full dive.
Ебать. Хуеть просто.
Clue goes down despite the black shield.
I think that's the best case scenario before you fall down.
Бать кайса, двоих залутала еще.
And I think that's great. BDG now 3-1-0.
And initially, we had thought that BDG was going to be the main problem core as well. But I start to see another issue start to form. Random not able to hold his own against Jong. He has some crowd control, has the upper hand. But seeing this,
Ну, Алистар сделал ему. ПБ, по-моему, да?
Oh yeah, T1 recognizes the fact that they really need Jong
Но они странно, Алистар полез бить Кайсу. Бля, как она снесла. Ну, там вышка, конечно, била его, но... Ебать, еще красный добил. Красный Кайсы добил там чуть-чуть.
Look at Zhong here. It's gonna Hextech ultimatum Doom here. Watch, watch, watch.
Blue trying to knock them away. Will not be able to steal away the Rift Herald. Core offloading some damage, but T1 still not looking for a fight.
Okay, the reason why that is because Zhong already used hookshot prior to that, so he couldn't exactly reach Doom in that scenario.
Тут и Вейн, возможно, еще пентакилл сделает.
In that fight, because it was too late to begin with.
I think T1 also just want to prepare for the dragon, right?
Yeah,
like that's your win condition. That's what they like to try and play for. They don't really care so much about the Rift Heralds, especially when you have a Ziggs in your side.
That's true, exactly. I was about to say that because Rix badly needs the Rift Herald because it's a Vayne. If you're going to go in range of auto-attacking the tower, you're going to be in deep trouble.
It is a very interesting position here. Rix trying to walk in onto the dragon. Clue comes in with the Black Shield Snitch. If he steps forward, JY finds the entry angle. Clue will get the knockout onto the Wukong for now. JY just tries to reposition. The redemption comes in the top, then back up to full. T1 going over the dragon now. Flash.
Риксы драконов вообще не хотят брать.
I like this. Rick's dropping the Rift Herald. They might lose mid lane though if they keep going. Oh dear.
7 losing some good amount of health right now. John looking for his re-entry angle. Will manage to find it on the random, but gets caught by the Dark Binding. Stopped before he could do more to Rix's backline.
Well, this is definitely enough. They weren't able to
Эльстар
destroy the tower going in.
Ну посыпались все тут. Риксы посыпались. О, давайте, давай, 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 Вейн. Хорош. И опять... думал, опять Алистар залутал.
Able to get the tower and only one kill at the end of the day. It felt like they were having a hard time reaching Doom. I love the positioning from Doom here on that skirmish. And I feel like that's the reason why they couldn't win that fight entirely.
T1 do at least manage to pull away the dragon, but a very ambitious dive there.
Yeah. Zhong going in with a hook shot and then killer instinct from BDG. That was extra aggressive. But I like it.
And I do like it.
Yeah.
The fact is T1 recognized that, you know, we cannot be passive anymore. We must take an active stance.
Опять охота на Кайсу.
On their side as well, or perhaps
решили не лезть.
BDG has been a target of focus. Doom, on the other hand, left relatively untouched.
Кайса, конечно, по фарму нормально идет. И Камила у них хорошо по фарму идет.
Though for BDG, he's in the lead for the gold race at the moment, and while 1K isn't so much of a significant lead, I feel like it is still when it comes to the itemization upgrades that BDG is looking for.
Exactly, when you have the upgrades to your spells, because of that 1K difference.
Very important.
Very important indeed. Rix are trying to set up waves towards the top side as well as the mid side. Rift Turret was not able to take down the mid turret, so T1 still have that for now. Rix want to be able to pick that up as quickly as possible, open up the map for their sake.
Looking at T1 because they're the ones that destroyed.
Бля, этот Дариус так прикольно в этом скине бежит, мячик. Бьет об землю.
And the type of comp that they have, which is, again, we talked about it, the Vayne's gonna have a hard time sieging towers.
Right, the Baron.
The Baron. Oh, the Baron! It's the Baron!
It's the Baron. Hello, Mr. Nasher.
Hello. That's not a Baron impression.
Baron shows up on the map. You can start to see now 13 minutes into game. We are approaching the next phases here as well. Random once again. In a bad position. Clue will be able to find some damage and a knock up on the BDG to hold him in place. He pops the Unchained ultimate. Seven starts to run in. He does have his ultimate here going for him. BDG goes into stasis to buy some time. Dodges away from every spell as well.
Бля, нахуй этого Дариуса было брать? Пиздец, взяли бы лучше Привен какую-нибудь. Не знаю, она забанена была или нет. Да, до Дариуса пиздец сложно реализовать.
But I like this from T1, the aggression, they keep hammering at it. And considering the fact that game number 1, they're starting the Baron.
Is this for real?
It's for real.
For real?
For real, for real.
Under 10,000, Baron going down quite quickly, but it seems like Ricks have caught on to this. Cannot trick them. They know what's up.
Yeah, we'll see though.
Wait, they do not know what's up.
Seven's far away.
They walked over. They thought they knew what was up. But the Baron going over to T1. And nothing that Ricks can do to stop this. Random walking in now as well. He's gonna get tagged, but he exhausts himself. Will T1 pursue this kill? The answer is no, but the Baron still goes into their back pocket.
Но они все разрывают дистанцию, конечно.
Farming the red side jungle. So that means T1 had information that 7 was there. Really quick thinking from T1.
And that all started off that one kill onto Random in the bot side. Once they were able to get Ricks low, knew they had to reset, they made a beeline for that Baron. Amazing macro here from T1. When the stakes are high, this is when it matters.
Yeah, amazing macro, amazing initiative as well. And when we look back at game number 1, T1 drafting a early to mid game comp that unfortunately they couldn't make proactive plays.
Ну, типа у него 8000 фарма, да? Хотя там у них у Вуконга немного.
Dragon coming up in 20 seconds. Is going to be the clown. No Elder just yet. T1 starting to bring in these waves, trying to clear out the turrets. We'll pick up this mid one.
Remember, Grandin, 15-minute mark. We talked about how BDG is going to be a problem and Core alongside with him. So if BDG falls, if Core falls, either way, as long as one is alive, they can still fight.
No, I'm very concerned here, Riku.
Yeah!
Ricks, they still have a chance. They have strong champions. Doom could still pop off. He's still keeping up with the game.
Ну да, солдат.
If they activate a team fight and Doom is able to finish off kills, and he's alive, it's possible. Black Shield.
Что он забежал? Я посмотрел на него. Да и карма здесь вообще пиздец. Ну что? Ну типа кидает на Вейн.
Fighting back the best that he can, using the spells to clear the wave. Tristan as Brace was burnt, trying to do it. Random might fall in the side lane, gets caught by the Hextech ultimate again. Doom has his ultimate, but JY chasing after. He'll find the Cyclone.
Ну это... Домой, пора домой. Завоет ветер над ущельем.
Especially that JY is gone. They need a secondary. They need Hextech ultimatum. They need Cyclone to be able to be comfy in these fights. But at the same time, the base is open, Grandin. Ricks has to defend with their mid and a bot lane with natural wave pressure pushing in. And with, I wouldn't exactly say poor wave clear, but with a Morgana and a Karma on your side, I don't think you can match the same wave clear that BDG and Core has.
I can only imagine the kind of tension on stage right now. T1, Quantum Freaks were not able to make the cut into the group stages. Incredible competition in their group, in the play-ins, and now T1 have the chance to give WCK another seed in.
Exactly. Having two representatives
Да, ну я бы сказал бы, что тут прямо, что они прям как-то сильно выебли. Примерно одинаковые. Вот если бы спиздили на Шора, было вообще охуенно.
Random picks on one kill. They find the Wukong finally in the pit. Penguin will go down as well. Rick still holding on a fighting chance.
Oh my word, that went so well for Riggs. Able to keep Doom alive, able to free him. But look at Jung, he's pushing the mid lane.
Look at the base.
He's
going in.
They're canceling the ports. They're not letting them go home.
T1's blocking it. They're onto the Nexus. Riggs cannot get back to base in time. And Jung
Дивайн там орёт.
in the minion wave. And they've done it once. They'll do it again. They take down Riggs.
Ну все, осталась только одна европейская команда. В групповом этапе. Поотлетали все.
An amazing series from both these teams. T1 going to game 1. We saw Rick's coming out strong. They had fixed so many of the issues. They were able to prevent a lot of the dives happening from T1. A lot of the setup they had come in planned for, and yet T1 going to games 2 and 3, we saw them shine bright. BDG performing exceptionally for his team.
Oh yeah, BDG. Game 1 didn't work out so well for T1, but when they put on the switch, BDG with the Lucian, BDG with the Kaisa, just T1 is amazing with that, with BDG.
And even towards that last fight, they were able to take down 2 people, Riku.
I know!
They still got JY, they got Penguin, and the remaining 3 members we saw BDG and Core, the 2 targets, the 2 carries you were mentioning, hold Ricks around the Baron pit.
Золотая середина. Ты напиши там, что у тебя по итогу. В личку. Так, ладно, парни, я буду заканчивать. До вечера. Смотрите видосы, кто не смотрел. Сейчас кто-то еще будет играть. Но я пойду. Да я спать хочу, пиздец. Пойду, может, стримну. Кто дальше будет? Сэм.
Wow, wow.
I
did not expect that from you.
I was ready to open up with Riku's dance, like, yeah,
I was gonna do that too.
And now I don't feel like
one more time.
Yeah.
Incredible. No matter who does it, it's incredible. What a game from T1. That was the
А, сейчас будут американцы, кстати, играть. Мы, кстати, не смотрели ни одной американской команды, да? Американцы и... Ну, Северная Америка, Северная Америка. Лос-Анджелес. И ЛБР. Бразильцы против американцев. Ладно, все, всем пока. До вечера. Вечером розыгрыш. Там завтра... Ой, вечером розыгрыша 2 даже. Еженедельный и по видосу еще. Так что до вечера.